Okay, and we're here, and we're starting. I definitely wasn't rushing around. Absolutely not. We are not way later than we usually are. I don't know what you're talking about. That all sounds like conspiracies. Alright. What's everyone doing? I know our buddy here is not doing too well. The buddy, I mean, recently deceased. I have a feeling his day was going moderately better as of a few moments ago. So we'll continue painting his killer as, I don't know if there's much less left to this guy. Yeah, I'm still not sure about painting all the black, flesh color and working off that. I'm still thinking about it. For now, we'll just go back to highlighting the black. In the meantime, let's see. Do I want to start the Planck story? You know, we'll save the Planck story a little bit. Let's go. We'll go in order of like the title I kind of made arbitrarily, off some stuff I saw going on. So, to start, we have some drama from the Young Turks. Where's my thing? Here? Aha! So, probably the Young Turks are having it out at each other. Let's see what's going on. We get the painting rolling.
Way that you communicate within
That is very loud. What up?
that fight accuses people who don't really fall under that category of
Oh, they're about to throw down. Oh, I've seen this.
Oh boy.
To grow his, he's sort of put a cap on his ability to grow his audience beyond a certain point. Like, there will be lots of people who watch Hassan's videos and stuff and don't see all of the takes where he's doing like open fascist propaganda or whatever. But the largest audience that you could appeal to, and the one that matters most when it comes to radicalization, is of course liberals. And liberals are not gonna respond well to this.
I already spoken about this before. Hassan's cap on his audience is probably his inability or his unwillingness, I guess, to go to other platforms and do content. He's like very locked into kind of his hug box, and he doesn't really like to venture outside of that any kind of like challenge, which I guess is okay. I mean, like, you can be critical of Hassan, but he grew to monumental levels. The guy's probably made 7 figures for the past 2 years at least. Like mid 7 figures, not even like just a mil. Okay, we're probably like more, probably like 4 or 5 plus. So I mean, like, he's doing fine. It's not like, oh no, Hassan's like a broke loser. But it is kind of sad that I guess his ego or his insecurities basically capped his growth when he could have like been even bigger. But
Yo, I don't get it when politics streamers basically cut off doing debates. Like, do you not get tired of repeating yourself after a while? Because that's all you do if there's no conversation. If there's no even theoretical conflict. Like, how long can you keep that going? Well, I guess, you know, it does make content easy. I don't know, that seems to, like, make it harder, in my opinion. Just repeating yourself over and over and over again. That sounds like it makes it harder to make content than easier. I would just be put to sleep. But yeah. I mean, I guess it's working for him. It's making a lot more money than I am.
based Anna.
I just look, we've been over this. I think that you have this itch to fight, right? And I think that I hear what you're saying about wanting to fight back against the bigotry, right? But I think that sometimes the way that you communicate within that fight accuses people who don't really fall under that category of
Oh, they're figuring it out. They're learning.
Throw down. Is this about calling everybody like a racist or a fascist or whatever? Is that what I'm?
being part part of the bad guys who
Are
have
they
bought into
learning?
bigotry and stuff. I think that the situation is just a lot more complicated than that.
It sounds like they're learning.
The way that I've been thinking about all of this is
They're figuring out nuance. No. What are we gonna do if the leftists figure out? All right, I don't know if she's necessarily leftist, but it does bring the question to mind. What do leftists have as an ideology if they aren't grouping people into massive blocks and just calling them whatever they don't like at the moment? Like, isn't leftism kind of built upon a foundation of it's not even just classes, it's collectives. Everyone's in a collective, right? If it suddenly becomes more nuanced than that, then it seems like everything falls apart to me.
how do we bring more people in rather than repel people from what we're trying to accomplish, right? And so the messaging, I think we need to be a little more careful with so we don't make people who do not subscribe to the bigotry feel as though we're accusing them of engaging in bigotry. You hear what I'm saying?
I do, but so it.
What do you think his response is going to be?
You're absolutely right. Like, sowing division amongst democracy is probably bad in the aftermath. Like, we all want to get Biden elected or make sure that Trump isn't elected again. So let's all unite for the cause.
Oh, you're so
That sounds
naive.
very
Oh
optimistic.
my God, that was adorable. Okay. You've just been watching my stream a lot, so you think everybody's like reasonably, rationally brained like I am. Let's see what he says. He started off with a but, so you're already fighting from the back foot. Let's see here.
Feel as though we're accusing them of engaging in bigotry. You hear what I'm saying?
I do, but so it's that one's super complicated. We've talked about it a little bit in the past, but it's good to talk about here. And by the way, we'll take your comments too on your thoughts on all of this. But
and look, the one, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No,
but
it's
like
okay.
the one other thing that look, part of the change that I've experienced over the last, I don't know, year, 2 years is coming to the realization that a lot of the stories that scared me about the bigotry in the country, right? Like the very specific anecdotes and stories that have been reported in the media were either embellished, exaggerated, actually completely unfounded, all sorts of crazy hoaxes.
And there were so many details of that story that were intentionally omitted or left out
Oh,
of
we're not
the
doing this.
legacy media reporting of it. And that painted a picture in my mind and in the minds of many others that, there's no justification for the way that she was, panicking when she was on the phone with the 911 dispatcher, right? But then you get this, then you find out, based on what Camille Foster had found out and reported, was that like she didn't have good cell reception. So the person on the other end of that conversation couldn't hear her. She was panicking because she genuinely thought that she was at risk after, here's another thing that was omitted in a lot of the reports, after she was literally threatened by the bird watcher, right? Who said,
wait, what?
I'm gonna
And
do
he got
what I
based on the
want,
bird
and you're not
watcher
gonna
story?
like it. And then he proceeds to try to lure her dog to him. And listen, you might still...
Okay, hold on. Wait, am I being...
Oh, that story. I'm remembering this story. But also, this brought to mind how sometimes I hear people talk about how America's such a racist country. Dude, you gotta talk to some foreigners, man. There are hilariously more racist places than anywhere you can find in the U.S. Like to the point that it's comical how racist they are. Like you go to Asia, like East Asia, oh boy. Koreans, Japanese, Chinese, like super casually racist. Like incredibly so. Eastern and Central Europe is another one. Very, very racist. It's like completely normalized there, which is probably when you would actually consider the racism itself to like actually be a problem. If like a significant part of the population is like, oh no, we don't ascribe to racism, but there's a small part that are that want to hold on. Well, I mean, it sounds like the racism is kind of dying off. But if you're going to tell me that it's the norm to be extremely racist, now that's the real problem. Like, how how do the people that think America is so racist even, like, think the U.S., like, functions? We have everyone here. We've taken one country and shoved every single ethnicity, race, nationality, all of it into, you know, one string of border. You find somewhere else like that, you won't. And we're open about it too. I mean, what was the classic thing? Not classic. The thing that's been said a lot lately is another, what, 10, 15 years, and whites won't even be the majority anymore. The whites will be a minority, so yeah, we're definitely, like, super racist, huh?
I feel like these are stories that I've covered. There must be some, like, chain here or something, no?
Kind of over-exaggerating the situation that's actually happening.
I was just thinking of this one.
Oh, you're gonna show the dog! You're gonna show the dog! You're gonna show the dog video that everybody got mad at because they didn't get the full story on this one either? By the way, if you saw this video and you thought it was just a crazy white woman being a crazy white woman, she was being about 40% crazy. But what you didn't see in this video was when the black guy posted the video on Facebook.
That's a big problem with left-leaning media right now.
Yeah, I remember that.
Half-reported stories.
You know.
He's about to.
Oh, there's a story we didn't get to today, but I'm definitely going to cover it at some point this week about Ibram X. Kendi's Center for, what is it called? It's the Center for Anti-Racist Research, which had received
43 million. That's what you're about to say.
$43 million in grants. And no one knows where that money is. The entire staff has gotten fired.
Where did it go? Where did it go?
Don't ask me.
That's a lot of money for anti-racism. Whoa, we got 19.
I'm not even surprised anymore.
Recommendation without spoiling. Who do you think was in the right? Well, where do you mean? The answer is obviously the it has to be the lady, right? Am I supposed to be?
Yeah, the guy's attempting theft. I mean, what?
Ask me, am I supposed to take like a pro-rape position? Okay.
Okay, there's no transparency in regard to where that funding went, and it's just, I think a lot of people see how potentially, I don't know for sure in this case, I think there needs to be a full investigation, how certain people have used this narrative of racism in order to profit from it and to exploit it for their own benefit. And
damn.
No way.
Oh, that's a big claim from Anna from the Young Turks. Do you want to come to New York? I'll buy you a steak. Pisco. I'm like an hour drive from you, okay?
Enrichment, right?
So what we do here is we talk about all the different nuances, because that one has a lot of nuance.
It does, yep.
So first of all, that story we'll do on another day so you get the full sense of it. But is it true that some people took advantage of the racism that actually exists to profit off of pretending to fight back against it? Unfortunately, yes, it has happened a number of times, okay? So there was devastating articles about Black Lives Matter leadership as one example. Okay, now.
Did you follow any of them? The Black Lives Matter organization?
I don't know what you're talking about.
BLM org was pretty, they're in,
around.
Oh, okay. They were in dire straits. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sounds it.
Yeah.
And we covered it because we're honest.
Right.
But having said that, it doesn't mean that there
we're
isn't
honest.
Racism and
but having said that,
there is.
But I have to be honest, given all of the lies that I've read.
The problem is that the way that people do politics today is there's like a whole web of beliefs you have to buy into. And like part of that web, for instance, is like black people can do no wrong. Or if they do wrong, it's because of white supremacy. Unironically, that's like part of that's why you get like all the excuses for shoplifting. That's why when black cops kill black people, it's white supremacy. Like it's like part of this web of beliefs you have to subscribe to. Homeless people can do no wrong. Like they're harmless, they're cool. If they push people in front of trains, like this is like the web of, it sounds like I'm exaggerating, but I'm not. It's literally this. But the issue is that like if you call into question or if you call into question any of the narratives on any of this, people will immediately throw you into like the conservative camp. So like
Yep.
Anna's got a ton of basically people think Anna's like a literal Nazi now, unironically, or fascist, whatever, because she started to realize like, hey,
Man, you haven't been in it until you have been called the extremes of every side. I'm a classical liberal. De facto, I usually end up centrist. And yeah, man, from communist to Nazi, I have filled my bingo card. It is pretty fun. One day I am a Jewish shill, and the next day I am Nazi sympathizer. It's pretty good. I haven't seen it on this platform yet, but we'll get there. It's one of my secret personal goals. Not that secret. One of my personal goals. We'll get there. We'll get the YouTube comments going. YouTube comments. I mean, I'm shocked it hasn't happened with Rumble yet. I think someone did call me something weird like last week on Kick. I don't remember what it was. Yeah, it just flies right by me these days.
I basically got like sexual assaulted by like a homeless guy, and people are like, oh well, the homeless are they're unhoused
How can
neighbors.
you be talking about nuance though if like half the audience thinks then that she's like a Nazi?
I don't know, but like the Young Turks is
Wouldn't there be like some good faith given to someone who's sitting like right beside him on a platform they share?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? Oh, that's so.
You would think
oh,
so.
That's so nice that you think that. That's so nice. You're so optimistic. What do they call them? Is it starry-eyed?
Yeah.
You would think that sitting on a show called The Young Turks, where they've done progressive media for 10+ years, that they would get a little bit more leeway, right?
Maybe not.
Nope. Now at the left.
Right?
Yeah.
He had his first standout month last month.
You guys are gonna have a big hug this week.
Yeah, true. He had his first standout month last month. Finally, this month.
You're so mean.
Do you know why? Because he spent half the month shitting on Anna for being a Nazi. That's yeah.
If it gets close.
It's gonna be a lot of cleanup on this guy later. It's not, the paint's not going on as smoothly as last night. I know.
Funny.
I'm
There's no
noticing.
joke there. It's not even funny at all.
Wait, what happened? I missed it.
It's. You know why? Because he spent half the month shitting on Anna for being a Nazi. That's yeah.
If it gets clicks.
True.
It's not even funny. There's no joke there. It's not even funny at all.
It's just real.
Stop.
Okay.
Realize the media has been telling about it. I don't know the extent to which it does exist. I'm not saying it doesn't.
The sad thing about Anna right now is like Anna is so precious and important, because what usually happens is when people see that parts of the media lie, like part of the left-wing media can lie, which they, I don't know if I'd say lie, but they get some things very, very, very wrong. So like, are you familiar with the Jacob Blake stuff?
Oh, vaguely. He was shot in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cops are almost certainly on the right, but the initial video that came out looked really bad. It looked like a poor black guy trying to get in the car, and a cop shoots him in the back 5 times. Like, it's horrible. That probably set off the Kenosha. That definitely set off the Kenosha riots, led to Rittenhouse and all that shit, right? But like, when you start to see stories like that line up, what people will do is they'll go like, "Oh, I can't trust that media anymore. I'm going to be a conservative now." But Anna's not. She's still progressive, right? It's like she's probably farther left than me on a lot of things. We probably argue over. But the problem is that she can't even edge out like this little bit of nuance, and I'm worried. The worry is going to be people keep saying she's a Nazi, she's a liberal, she's not left anymore, blah blah blah. Is the thing that would suck is if eventually that did happen, like in a self-fulfilling kind of way, because she's been pushed so far that she's like, okay, well, fuck it, I am, right? That's what people keep accusing me of, like I'm going to be a Republican in 1 year or whatever. People are saying that about me for like 4 years. You know?
But sometimes I worry that the media, in an effort to sell papers and in an effort to get eyeballs watching their programming, intentionally sensationalize and exaggerate the extent to which it exists in American society. It leads to more division. It leads to more people hating each other and being paranoid about various groups of.
What?
Doesn't seem like a very confrontational claim. I feel like most people would agree with that.
No, not on the progressive side. I don't think so.
I'm progressive.
the easiest way to like get a progressive on this is like it's like the standard question of like how many unarmed black people do you think are killed every year by the cops? Do you have any idea what the answer to that question is? Take a guess. Do you know?
All of them.
Take a guess.
I don't know.
Okay.
What's the answer?
It's like 17.
Okay.
But people think the answer's in like the hundreds or thousands. But it's because of like the media reporting on things that it like blows a lot of issues out of control. So even if there is a problem, people have a bad grasp of how bad the problem is, which leads them to have a bad understanding of like how to solve the problem, right? That's where all the cringe like defund the police came and went in like a year because every police department that
I just had the weirdest conversation today about like population stats. It was some really dumb thing of like, how did we build all these crazy buildings in the US in like the 1800s? Because they're like super ornate stonework buildings. Like where did the US train thousands of master craftsmen to do these things? Because these buildings took like 30 years. It's like, okay, well, I mean, hold on. It's more likely that it was like one or two master masons and then a bunch of apprentice and journeymen underneath them per project, based on my experience in the blue collar field. I used to be an electrician. But then, it's like, okay, do you understand like population stats work? Like, if we have, like, 50 million people in the U.S. in, like, 1820, and you had, like, 5,000 master masons, it sounds like a lot initially, and then you realize that's 1% of 1% of the population. And it's like, oh, how'd they do it just like horse and buggy? It's like, because they probably didn't use horse and buggy. Like, A, that's when we start getting railroads, but also B, the primary means of transporting heavy objects since the beginning of civilization has been via water. Guess where cities are usually built? Next to water. Like, I don't know how... I feel like more people need to play games like Age of Empires and stuff and like really understand like how a lot of stuff is not that unreasonable. Even like the classic like pyramids, like the ancient Egyptians, it's like, yeah, guess what? You go up the Nile. That's how you transport really heavy stuff. If you build the boat right, you'd be shocked how much weight. I mean, ships today, for example, are weighed in tonnage. Thousands of tons of metal. It's heavy. And just floating. It's floating so well you can push the ships with your hand, your bare hand, when they're in dock. Like you just move over. Also, on the flip side of that, you don't think they'd be saying the actual number more often if it was that high? Like, actually, I had this whole thing. This was like 2 months ago. I went down this whole rabbit hole on school shootings. People making it this like apocalyptic sign of the collapse of American society and Western culture and liberalism and everything. And like it showed how like nihilism has reached its peak and we are going to like all lose our minds or something. It's like, no, go through the stats on school shootings. 2022 was the worst year. We had it was like 53, 54, something like that school shooting. It like averaged one a week, about. It was about one a week. Roughly, somewhere around there. It was in low 50s. Right? Which sounds bad. Until you realize, like, okay, so that's like roughly 52 schools affected by this. You know how many schools are in the U.S.? It's like 16,000. That's 16, 17, 18,000, something like that. Oh, sorry, way off. I was thinking the 15,000. That's part of 115,000 schools. Okay? Then you look up like how many deaths by school shooting. 140. I think it's like 142 actually, something like that. Okay, in 2022. Well, that's like really bad on like a person by person level. As far as like on a national level, that's not even a rounding error. That's like you didn't even know to round. That's how small that number is on a national level. We have 350 million odd people in the US. You know how many people died of heart disease every year in the US? Which is the biggest killer in the US, by the way. It's been steadily about 600,000 every year for like 20 years now. Actually, it's nearing 700,000. So it is seeing around 2/3 of a million people a year to heart disease. Where are the riots to take down McDonald's, though? Where's the emotional outrage at the absolutely massive death toll? Like, for comparison, that is still, if I'm not mistaken, that's still more than the estimated death toll of the Ukrainian war to date. Current total death toll of Ukraine conflict. Okay, estimates are still all over the place, but as far as like in 2023, it is like as of February 2023, 1 year into the conflict, is sitting around somewhere between 300 and 500,000. Anywhere in there is like considered reasonable. That's Ukrainian and Russian. Oh, actually, nope. I might be off. Between 200 and 400,000, actually. I'm like mathing together a bunch of different numbers kind of put together to try to get like a rough estimate. So yeah, the number that regularly die in the US per year is where we're sitting at about now, actually. In August, it was estimated to be flowing around 500,000. Give it another month with the conflicts gearing up again, becoming more intense for a little bit. And yeah, that's where we sit. Every time a school shooting happens, it dominates the news cycle for days on days. So yeah, anyway, perspective on numbers is vitally important to figure out what is actually going on, what is actually relevant out there. And police violence against or police killing unarmed blacks is not one of them. Not on a what should be a culture shifting scale. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the number of people that have died as a result of the riots has been more than the actual people killed by the cop shooting at this point.
A fucking disaster. I was like, this is retarded, and then, yeah. You okay with 17? Pisco, honestly, I prefer under 14, but you know how it goes. All right, hold on.
People, I think it's sick. And so I hate that this is happening, and I hate that I've come to this realization, and it's based on actual evidence and in-depth reporting on it, because I don't know what to believe, because I don't trust the media. You get what I'm saying?
I do, but again, both things can be true at the same time. Let me give you an example of what I mentioned on Karen Hunter's show. She's on SiriusXM Urban View. Rashad Rishiar, one of our hosts, is also on it. And Karen, I think, would admit that she's more of a establishment or mainstream Democrat. Like, she's one of the people, when I say Nina Turner, she is repelled by it. Okay, and so
you know who Nina Turner is? She's a lady that tried to run for Congress in California. She outraced her opponent 2-1, lost, and then blamed the Jews on it. Very good progressive candidate.
She's probably right. We did do that.
Very good progressive candidate there. I might be hyperbolizing slightly, but not much. I encourage everybody to go look into the details of that. If you think I'm lying, okay? I would show you on stream right now if I was on my home computer, but I don't have it all right now. But like, yikes! Whoa, Lake Toya VA, thank you for subbing, bro.
we don't have to hate each other, etc. And Karen's, of course, an African-American woman. And so we got, okay, difference of opinion, but she, of course, she's deeply concerned about racism. I'm deeply concerned about racism. And in the midst of that conversation that we were having, I said, but wait a minute, guys. You can't attribute the whole MAGA thing to racism because, and this is true, you could look it up. Obama, after he won his first election, his poll
Canal, thanks for gifting 5 memberships.
numbers, which it feels impossible to believe at this point, was at a stunning 83% approval. 83%.
That's like 5 minutes.
So,
or less.
Obviously, a giant chunk of Republicans and independents who had got past the racism enough to say, I really.
She ran in Ohio? Wait, am I mixing her up with somebody else? Oh, she might have run in Ohio. I'm sorry. Oh no, she did run in Ohio. I'm sorry, not California. My bad. I feel like every bad thing about progressives comes from California. That's not true. My mistake.
Really like Barack Obama. Okay. So now, but is that the whole story? No, of course not. I mean, look at the example that I gave there. Did Trump say we should stop all Muslims from coming into the country? He did. Did the Republican voters love it? They did. So both of those things are true, and that's why it's complicated. So, and now you go to the next layer of it. And by the way, as we see, and did they march in Charlottesville saying the Jews will not replace us? They did. Was that the majority of Republicans? No, right? But was there enough of them to cause a lot of trouble throughout the country? Yes. You see, all of these things are true at the same time, right? So,
does anyone else find it really interesting that the Young Turks is even having this kind of discourse being broadcasted? Why do you think Cenk plays along, given how extremist ideas and feelings are? I don't think Cenk is playing along. I feel like the Young Turks do try to get it right. Cenk literally said, he did this in your convo with him. Sometimes I ham it up for the broadcast. Yeah, that was dumb. But yeah, no, I think Cenk legitimately tries to get it right. He might ham it up a little bit, but I think he wants to be. Yeah, I think he wants to be. Like, I think he made a good argument that when that one trans broadcaster left their org a while ago because they think Anna is fucking transphobic or some shit now.
What?
I mean, he said they have people on their network that they disagree with. I think he tries to get it right. I give him the benefit of the doubt for now. Although it does seem to be the case that every single person in my life I've given the benefit of the doubt to ends up being a snake or a backstabber or worse. So, but, well, hopefully, well, hey, listen, that's life sometimes, okay?
True.
He was playing good cop to Anna's bad cop to hold on to what little remaining socialist viewers they have left. Cringe. I don't think that's true. So, you know, you choose what you like. I saw this Trump. Is it actually a felony for Trump to hold a gun if he's charged or indicted with a felony? Can he not do that?
He can't have a gun.
Just for being indicted with a felony?
He cannot have a gun. It's against the law. Yes.
Jeez.
Convicted of a felony, then you can't have a gun.
Well, wait, he's not convicted, is he? But that's what I'm saying. He's like, if he's indicted with a felony. Oh, it's a condition of bail. Gotcha. Oh. Damn.
Is the lady Ninu? It's Ninu.
My assistant.
Cheeseburgers.
Why do people say this? I don't want to argue about this. I'm done arguing about this. I like when people give their takes on fitted clothes as if they've worn them before. There's a difference between deadlifting in joggers and deadlifting in leggings. No, there's not. You can find guys that are pulling 5, 6, 7 plate that sometimes they're wearing either just normal shorts or sometimes sweatpants. You don't have to be in leggings. I don't want and no, I'm not trying to be mean or whatever, but these women aren't even pulling 1 plate most of the time. Why do you think you need optimally fitted fucking skin tight Catwoman tier clothing to pull 115? And when I say pull, I really mean do hip thrusts, because I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I'm being misogynistic. We can't talk about the gym stuff because that's my misogyny will come out, and I don't want to be misogynistic. I don't want to do it.
Do it.
Like, these leggings literally have like imprints of like the booty cheeks. Is that necessary? Does that improve like performance? The booty cheek outlines on the clothes?
I don't think there's a problem with it as long as you're not complaining about it.
True, I agree. Trump's spokesperson said he purchased it. That would be a big yikes if that's true. Wouldn't be the first time somebody close to Trump has fucked him over though, and he has to ditch that person. Remember Giuliani? Remember Cohen? Remember his entire fucking Manafort and Flynn and all the people coming in and his election bullshit and oh god, he's such an actual unbelievable joke. Donald Trump gun thing. I saw that. It's just unbelievably stupid to me. I don't know. Have you?
Is that a thing that's really happened?
Vaguely, just the fact that like his representation like announced that he had bought a gun and then he was like, never mind.
No. It wasn't just that. This retard is like getting a gun given to him on like TV on camera, and he's got a fucking picture of it. Like it's Hunter Biden tier. Like here I am measuring out how much crack I've got on my crack scale.
He's smiling so sweet. It looks like those pictures of like men with fish on their tenders. Like he's just holding it up so proud.
Really? It looks like a grandpa who's like kind of has a little bit of dementia, and he's smiling next to his granddaughter who just told him that she has like a girlfriend and she's a lesbian. Like right now. But he doesn't actually comprehend what's going on, and he's just like smiling because he doesn't know what's happening. Like, holy shit. What are your thoughts on? Oh no,
I'm gonna have to look into that.
A gun store.
That's crazy. It's not that crazy. It's just it's kind of funny actually.
Hold a gun though. Like I think if you're a convicted felon, I know he's not a convicted felon, but I don't know what the conditions of his bail are.
I think it is like hold, possess, or use.
Yeah, I don't think you're allowed to even touch a gun.
Like, I think anyone would go after you. Really
what if you like
for
threw a gun at somebody?
You're fine.
That had a felony.
You're
they
fine.
touch it. It's like tag. It's like baseball. They touch it. What if you asked somebody to go play paintball with you, and then you gave them a paintball gun, but it was a real gun?
And that would be so fucked up.
But then they'd have to go to jail.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, are we sure about that though?
Nah, Destiny, nah. They said he bought it and then went back and said he didn't.
Get the surgery.
Shut up! Don't stop.
See?
Oh, that's fine. I'll never see you again. Okay?
Okay.
Listen, live your life. Okay, be happy. No, Donald Trump did not buy a gun during a trip to South Carolina Monday. He only said he wanted to. Social media lived with the Trump campaign posted a video admiring a gun with a likeness of him branded on it. A now deleted post said the former president purchased a Glock, which was dubbed Trump 45. Cute. I'm gonna buy one. Trump said at one point, "Isn't a Glock a great gun?" Trump posed for pictures of the gun. His entourage.
He has to. He just has to say that about everything, isn't it? It's just become his thing, right? What am I getting tagged in right now? I'm getting tagged in history? I'm getting tagged in the history channel. What even? Who even? Why? Okay. Anyway, oh, that's basically the rest of the video. Okay, hold on. What's up with this? I'm just gonna search Trump gun. The headlines on this. Washington Post analysis gun laws become a 2024 issue in an unexpected way. The Nation. The Supreme Court could soon let Trump buy all the guns he wants. New York Times. Trump tells the gun store he'd like to buy a Glock, raising legal questions. The Daily Beast. Palmetto State Armory at Trump campaign center. I don't think that's anything to do with it. MSNBC. Donald Trump break the law on his gun-happy campaign stop. This Yahoo News, the sick, racist message behind why Trump chose that particular gun store. Alright, I want to see this. Hold on, let's get spicy here. Toria Auden. This is from like the New Republic. Is that where this is coming from? I guess. Okay. But Yeah, come on. Welcome here. Okay. During a campaign trip to South Carolina, Donald Trump took some time to visit the gun store and sold weapons to the racist Jacksonville, Florida mass shooter. Okay. Trump visited Palmetto State Armory on Monday, where he admired a handgun engraved. What is it? Hand engraved? I don't know. Handgun engraved and decorated in his honor. He repeatedly said he wanted to buy a gun there, which would be a violation of federal law given his many indictments. A lot of media is focused on whether Trump actually purchased a gun and violated law, but less attention has been paid to Trump's decision to visit Palmetto State Armory as opposed to any other gun store in South Carolina. Okay, hold on. So is the logic here that if, like, a gun store sells a gun and then someone uses that to commit a crime, like, let's say a racist mass shooting, that gun store should just close their doors, because now that store has now been blighted for all time. That store is now racist, and anyone that goes there is also racist. Is that the logic we're working with currently? Is that how this operates? In late August, let's zoom in here. This is probably very small on screen. In late August, a white man opened fire in a Dollar General store in a predominantly black Jacksonville neighborhood, killing 3 people, all of whom were black. The shooter, who then killed himself, used a Glock handgun and an AR semi-automatic rifle. At least it didn't say assault rifle. We're getting better. At least one of which was painted with a swastika. I mean, because why not, I guess. Jacksonville Sheriff T.K. Warren said the shooter, quote, hated black people and acted alone. At least one of the guns came from Palmetto State Armory, a store in Somerville, South Carolina. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office shared photos of the firearms using the entire Facebook page. One of the guns is clearly engraved with the Palmetto State Armory logo. The shooter had also drawn swastikas on the gun. When the Jacksonville shooting happened, Trump did not issue any statement of tragedy, but you could argue that this campaign stop is kind of a tacit statement. Could you argue? I mean, you could probably argue, but I mean, what is... Name is derived from South Carolina's official nickname, the Palmetto State. Palmetto State Armory operates several retail locations around the states of South Carolina, Georgia, and North Carolina. Established in 2008. It's a member of a JJ Capital family of brands. Produces a line of 1911 handguns, AR-10 rifles, 9mm AR-style pistols, and various AR-styled rifle uppers ranging caliber and cartridge dimension from 22 long to 308 by 308/7.62 by 51 NATO. So they make their own guns. Maybe he just likes their guns. Like... Like, this is what I mean, though. It's like, is now all of those locations blighted? He put the spotlight on Palmetto State Armory, praised inventory, and tried to offer it business. Well, Palmetto State Armory has openly embraced far-right ideology. Okay, here we go. A gunmaker marketed anti-government boogaloo products, then lobbied Congress. Alright. Alright, I'm getting the music going. It's getting spicy. Documents show that Palmetto State Armory has paid the firm Nelson Mullins to push the levers of power in DC, contradicting the hard-edged brand the company promotes to gun buyers. What? Federal lobbying disclosures reveal that Palmetto State Armory, a burgeoning South Carolina firearms manufacturer, the record of using rhetoric and imagery popular in anti-government circles, retained. When did anti-government become far-right? First off, I believe you can find anti-government concepts through... Actually, not even a far-right. These people not understand what a far-right means? Far-right, like, once you get to far either side, you start getting into autocracy again. But it's far-right or far-left. It's just different flavors. Now, all through center and moderate right and moderate left, you can find anti-government leanings. Definitely easy. That's not hard to find at all. Retained Washington, D.C. lobbyist Craig Metz of the firm Nelson Mullins rally in Scarborough last December. The move came only months after the company began selling products emblazoned with imagery associated with the Boogaloo, which is slang for a war to topple the federal government, something adherents prepare for, and in some cases seek to accelerate. Alright, let's see. The Boogaloo movement's not what you think. Okay, sure. This is translated from... Okay. May 26 crowds get... It's quite the rabbit hole. We're going all the way down, I guess. Jeez. Okay, so George Floyd, Department fired 4 policemen. On the internet, meanwhile, a largely white and far-right movement publicly contended over what risk its members should take to support a black man killed by police. On the Facebook page of Big Igloo Boys, which at the time of writing had 30,637 followers, and missed an admin of the protest. If there was ever a time for boys to stand in solidarity with all free men and women in this country, it is now. This is not a race issue. For far too long, we have allowed them to murder us in their homes and in the streets. We need to stand with the people of Minneapolis. We need to support them in this protest against a system that allows police brutality to go unchecked. One comment added, I'm looking for a fellow Minneapolis residents to join me in forming a private, constitutionally authorized militia to protect people from the MPD, which has killed too many people within the last 2 years. Okay. This exchanges and these exchanges offer a window into an extremely online update. The militia movement, which is gearing up for the northern summer. The Boogaloo Boys. Where did this name come from? Expect, even hope, that the warmer weather will bring armed confrontations with law enforcement and will build momentum. Okay, where is... Okay, a bunch of stuff about Facebook. The loose network of pro-gun posters trace the origin of 4chan, where coherence movement has come from their reverence for the newly minted Mars and the constellation of jokes and memes. Above all, movements gain momentum over 2 years by organizing in the world's most popular social network. And time of writing that network's parent. I don't know why this matters. Since Boogaloo-friendly anti-lockdown protests began organized there in mid-April. What does Facebook have to do with this? Okay, focus on the point. Says same day the Boogaloo movement made its high-profile public debut at Second Amendment protests in Virginia. I don't see how this is far right yet. Open source materials suggest that for now the apocalyptic that escalated quickly. Anti-government politics of the Boogaloo Boys are not monolithically racist / neo-Nazi. They didn't look like it before based on what you've offered. As we have observed, did we? Some members rail against police shootings of African Americans and praise black nationalist self-defense group. Okay, they rail against police shootings. That happened. You showed quote, or actually you didn't even really show it. You just said that they said it with quotation marks around. But going off the evidence you presented, they said that. But Black national self-defense groups, I did not see anything of that. But okay. Tales also demonstrated how ever iron drenched may appear to be, this is a movement actively preparing for armed confrontation with law enforcement and anyone else who restrict their expansive understanding of the right to bear arms. In a divided, destabilized post-coronavirus landscape, they could well contribute to widespread violence to the streets of American cities. Okay. This was written 2020, May of 2020. All that clearly did not happen. Posters frequently post unusual weapons, hunting, military equipment, military history, and ongoing. Yeah, I post this stuff all the time. And is the Remington 870 Express a decent choice for tactical shotgun? I always hear bad things about its quality control. Can these Gravis be fixed with some aftermarket parts, or at that point it's better just get a different gun? Yeah, that's a normal conversation. What is this? Like others tend to lean right, the book explicitly discourages any political discussion. Yeah, okay. There are many racist remarks and doubtless many racists who hate race will. On the announcement, failed congressional candidate, Pauline have long used the word boogaloo on Telegram channels. Oh, he doesn't. First of all, the boogaloo meme has crystallized as an arrow move. Oh, this guy doesn't know where boogaloo came from, does he? This man doesn't know his meme. What? For example, how boogaloo itself is euphemism, has been further disguised and used to sound like words like big igloo. Always used in November 2018 so far. We paired it in going style with the firearms unknown boogaloo blouse. I don't know how these people start with it, but electric boogaloo comes from, and I actually use this term all the time. This comes from a movie title. Know your meme, electric boogaloo. Okay. Electric Boogaloo is a phrase typically appended to the title of a sequel, TV, or film production. I'm gonna get this right there. You guys can't see this. It's a phrase typically appended to the title of a sequel, TV, or film production, a market support quality, originally featured entitled the poorly received 1984 dance film Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo. The term refers to a type of dance move that arose out of folk and hip-hop styles in the 1970s, popularized by street dance team the Electric Boogaloos. Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo was released on December 21st, 1984. It was met with mediocre reviews from Variety, called it a comic book, and Roger Ebert, who gave it 3 stars. As of March 2013, the film has been given 4.3 stars out of 10 on IMDb. Yada yada yada. Okay. In the early 2000s, the phrase used offline titles of works by Christian ska band Five Iron Frenzy, an indie rock band Minus the Bear. In July 2005, the first, even is this, YTMND, okay, site using this title format was created by user Pandaman A7, as it was a sequel to one of his previous sites. In March 2013, nearly 20 other sites use Electric Boogaloo. Okay, so Yeah. It's meant to... Yeah, and this came out like way later. Boogaloo or boog is slang term often used by libertarians and anarcho-capitalists. Ooh, man. Things I have been described as, and I have self-described a few times in the past. Describe an uprising as a movement or left-wing political opponents referred to as Civil War II electric boogaloo. So it's a crap. I've never actually used this. This is the first time I'm hearing about this personally. So what you're saying is it's going to be a sucky Civil War and not nearly as good as the last one. Online memes using the phrase typically circulate among gun enthusiast groups online. Oh. Anyway, okay, so apparently that's become a thing, but that's not where Boogaloo started. New. Okay. Boogaloo Boys, huh? Alright, except the reality is, this went nowhere. It's now 2023. February 2020, Planck produced and sold a limited edition AK-47 style pistol with a custom Big Igloo Aloha Hawaiian print paint job. AK-47 style pistol. It doesn't look like a pistol to me. JF3 AK pistols. I mean, it is a very pistol-looking handle. That just looks like a semi-auto rifle to me. Gives the legendary rifle a unique appeal. As not a... Why do you keep calling that a pistol? PSA's third generation rifles that have forged bolts, bolt carriers, and front trunnions. This pistol is chambered in 7.62 by 39. It features a nitrided 4150 barrel, stamped 1mm receiver, side scope mount, aluminum handguards, SB-Tactica SBA3 pistol brace, and Magpul pistol grip and magazine. Do they... Listen, nothing about this seems pistol to me except for the handle, which is fairly normal these days. What makes this a pistol? I don't know, maybe it's for ATF reasons, I don't know. Extremists and Boogaloo have participated in deadly. So they made some merch running the meme. And now they're considered far right and anti-government. Oh. Markets products using imagery and language associated with the Boogaloo, slang for racist violence. That's doesn't seem accurate. We call for full-on race war. It's also come to mean war at the top of the government. I'm pretty sure that's what everyone agrees that if you're going to use Boogaloo by itself. Apparently news to me. That just means toppling the government. Jacksonville shooter shouldn't have been able to buy guns in the first place. He was held in Florida State custody in 2017 for mental health issues, disqualifying him from owning a gun under a statute called the Baker Act. Somebody has eyeballs on Trump. Palmetto State Armory would never have gone away with something from a gun, but as Philadelphia Inquirer columnist Will Bunch pointed out the store, well, could sell an AR-15 to a young, mentally troubled white supremacist. Could. Alright, well, that was a whole thing. Yeah, how are those Boogaloo boys doing? How's that working out for them? Wow, I didn't expect to go down all that, but alright. Right. Oh, nope, I keep hitting the wrong thing. I want that up, and I want that up. Okay.
But he didn't actually buy it. It would have been illegal because Trump is under indictment in 4 criminal cases. Campaign letter issued a statement. President Trump did not purchase or take possession of the firearm. He simply indicated that he wanted one. Wow, that's what USA Today says. The law specifies receiving a gun that has crossed interstate boundaries. Wow. Are you a loyal Democrat?
I'm not loyal to anything.
God, you're so edgy.
Yeah.
Who do you think's gonna play Donald Trump in like the future biopics of him?
That's a good question. You could do it.
Yeah. Are they actually finishing that one movie that the one guy shot somebody on? Fuck. Not Alex. Oh God.
Alec Baldwin?
No. God, what's the actor's name? I don't want to look.
Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck, you ruined it. I was trying to remember it.
Sorry.
Alec Baldwin. Are you loyal to the game?
I'll speak less. To the game?
To the game.
To the game? Which
Yeah.
game? Only Factoria.
Oh, okay. Alec Baldwin. I think they're aren't they? How dark. Did you see the Meta stock news today?
Of Ray-Ban Meta Smart.
Wait, I actually have not, I still hold a ton of that stock. How are they doing? $300 a share. Oh my God. It's so beautiful.
But what'd you buy it at?
I should sell that at some point. Why are you investing in individual stocks? Because I called the bottom of Meta and I knew it was going up. I looked at the market and I said, that stock, that's definitely undervalued. Did they really go? My analysis was superb, okay? Go back and find the stream, okay? I think I bought that stock like 160, okay?
Ooh,
my call was perfect. Everybody that came in with me, okay, came in optimally, okay? Listen, did it dip down to $90? Sure, maybe, okay. Could we have benefited another 100, 200%, maybe, but okay, listen. My call was good enough. Better than Kramer, all right? Okay, I love you guys. It's been fun. I think I'll try to stream tonight. I'll bring my stuff with me. I think my phone and everything is charged, so we'll see. I love you guys. Be careful. Pisco promised he'd be on stream tonight, like made plans. I got him a dinner reservation. I think it was like a $500 deposit just for his seat. If he's not there, I don't know why. If he just decided to ditch or has no loyalty or is a backstabber, I'm not sure. But hopefully he shows up.
Zero loyalty to the cause.
Beautiful $40,000 car to have him there, and I think if he doesn't show up, I think they just take my car, and then I will be homeless because I live out of my car because I spent all my money getting this chair for Pisco. I love you guys. I'll see you later. Bye.
All right, so Young Turks might be slowly falling apart. Possibly. I think a decent chunk of them are starting to see the light. Alright, so I also had noticed Erudite put this up earlier. That was Destiny, in case you didn't know what you were looking at. It's just popped up in my Discord. How much amount of drugs and steroids to achieve a Space Marine body? That's an easy one. Lethal amounts. Or, you know, half as much as the average Sigma can handle.
Quote tweeted the video saying, "Remember, if you ever see somebody stealing food, no, you didn't."
What?
Even if you think it's bad in some abstract sense, it's hard to get mad about. Like, because who cares?
I don't know why
What?
certain lefties feel the need to just like desperately defend every single behavior of like certain groups of people, but it just feels like it's so insane. Some of you may be aware, this video has sparked a bit of a controversy on the wonderful, healthy, very well-rounded, nuanced website of Twitter. And it sparked controversy specifically because Merrick, friend of the stream, I don't know if she'd consider herself actually a friend of the stream. I probably shouldn't put that on her. We have like, I feel like a decently like neutral to positive relationship. Quote tweeted the video saying, "Remember, if you ever see somebody stealing food, no, you didn't." Now this is an implication that she's stealing all that meat because she's starving. Now we're gonna watch it again just to suss out whether or not that's what's going on. Meat, 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 meat. Meat. It's just all meat. So unless she's on the Michaela Peterson diet, unless she's on the carnivore diet, I don't know if she's stealing food to feed herself and her family, okay? Again, maybe she's on the Peterson diet, but I don't know if those tubes of ground beef would be allowed. I don't actually know what they're allowed. So there's a huge discourse sparked around this because we'll go to her defense, okay? So she said, "Remember, if you see somebody stealing food, no, you didn't." And underneath she says, "I know this white woman knows how much meat costs right now, too. A lot of you are really concerned. A grocery store is going out of business, and it's very silly because grocery stores throw away tons of food, and that includes expensive meat, on the regular." All right. So it's super important to note here that there's about a 0% chance that she's stealing all of that meat just for herself. One of the most common forms of shoplifting right now is where you steal hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of meat, electronics, other goods, and then you resell them. She's most likely reselling the meat.
Yeah, that's what it looked like
at
to
a
me.
cheaper, so she'll probably be selling it for cheaper than the grocery store is, but obviously it's a profit for her since she got it for free. She's not stealing this to feed her family. And the rhetoric that she's stealing it to feed her family is
very
fucking
questionable.
insane. It's fucking insane.
Yeah.
So this went a little bit wild because I don't know why certain lefties.
Like, it doesn't even make sense to... Is my camera frozen? Okay, no. It doesn't even make sense to steal, like, remotely close to that much meat if it's about, like, feeding yourself. I guess, yeah, I guess you could, like, freeze all that. But, like... No, even frozen, it goes bad. You can't freeze it for that long. Like, why would you go for meat? Meat's not even... Like, if it's a starvation situation, like, if you actually stop to think about it, you go for canned food. Canned food will last for years. And a lot of it, like beans and stuff, are high carbs, so it fills you efficiently. That's why the classic, like, that guy's eating beans to signify that that he's poor or something like that. Because beans and rice and stuff are high in carbs, so it fills you quickly. While giving you like a decent bit of energy, right? That's your survival food. So like, yeah, the logic doesn't hold up to this. Like, if that was just a ton of cans of food that's just like arm swipe just into the carriage and ran, that would make sense. But oh, that's but this looks super sus.
Need to just like desperately defend every single behavior of like certain groups of people, but it just feels like it's so insane. It's such an insane position. Maybe she has 20 kids. All right.
Well,
so it's going.
If she has 20 kids, that sounds like a you problem, not the rest of us problem.
Going viral, so we're going to talk a little bit about shoplifting. Number one, I don't think Merrick understands anything about the economy or about how money or corporations or how like local economies work. Okay, so this is the most important thing to understand.
Yeah, I had thought of it earlier when the point of, grocery stores throw away a ton of food, including expensive meats, all the time. Yeah, that's a pre-calculated amount that they have already set aside and calculated as loss due to food just not being bought and going bad on the shelf, or something happening to it in transit. There's a certain ratio that's been figured out already to handle that. After that, it starts hitting insurance, which insurance is not actually free money. I know it like seems like it, but I mean, hey, you pay car insurance, right? So like, is that really free money when you get into a wreck? No. It's not even entirely all your money either, in case, you're like, well, I have definitely not paid, $30,000 into my insurance company, but getting that for settlement or whatever. No, it's also everyone else that pays into insurance over time that is not having an accident.
When we're talking about corporations, she says, a lot of you think the grocery store is going to go out of business. It's very silly because grocery stores throw away tons of food, and that includes expensive meat, on the regular. All right. Number one, cost of food loss is typically budgeted for. In fairness, so is shoplifting. And obviously, losing food that's getting tossed out is bad, but it's a different type of cost for the grocery store than high amounts of shoplifting. I'm sure I don't need to point out why food going past their expiry date on the shelf and being tossed isn't analogous to stealing hundreds of dollars worth of meat. Hopefully it's self-evident to you why these two things are not analogous situations. It's
also like the timing of it. Like, the idea is, hey, Gene, are you ready for like the heavy conversations today? Because I've been stuck in like crazy conversations all day, so I'm just like running with it basically at this point. What was I about to say? Oh, yeah, so like they're factoring for the food to expire on the shelf at like a particular time in relation to like their shipments. Like the shipments are all figured out for that. So if like a bunch of that just disappears, like that's gonna throw all their timing calculations off, and it can throw a bunch of stuff into crazy budgetary, whatevers. Like all the stuff I pay into on the regular for like, say, for example, this stream, which I have a bunch of stuff I pay for on the regular for this stream, you know, my budgeting for that would be thrown way off if just a bunch of money disappeared. How you doing, Gene? We're getting into shoplifting and how the left seems to love it. I'm good. Just finished paying up 3 more miles for Fallout Warfare. Fallout Warfare. Have I heard of this? I don't think I have. Tell me more. But yeah, ask all the currently active military members how great the money situation looks when the timing of money availability just kind of goes haywire.
Important to point.
Think Fallout meets Necromunda Mordheim? Well, wouldn't you know, that's exactly what I was thinking. I got a good imagination. So, think like this guy. Generally speaking. The models are really nice. Are they? Fallout Warfare. Images. Look at them with their, like, realistic proportions and stuff. What do they think this is? How dare they look like actual humans and not like fantasy sci-fi humans? Her box is 6 Wasteland Survivors, 5 Super Mutants, a Death Clone. Oh, this is literally Fallout. Oh yeah, it is actually branded Fallout. Oh yeah, there's a guy in the power armor. Ah, now it's making me miss, you know, I've watched a lot of stuff on recent Fallout games, and, like, I haven't played since Fallout 3, but seeing that miniature in, like, the Steel Brotherhood power armor suddenly made me want to play Fallout 3 again. That's all it took. Man, something about minis, man. Brotherhood of Steel. That's it. I get there eventually. One day. One day I would arrive. Hey, Diablo. Hey, everyone jumped out at once. I have the Enclave box set and the Brother box set due to arrive next week. Nice. What are the, how goes the day? I have stories. Sorta. Kinda. I have a couple stories. I have a story about Planck. And no, I don't mean the character from Ed, Edd and Eddy. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, what is the, what is the average, base dimension of these? Like, what's their base scale that they're working with? Like, how much can you get away with proxying these in Warhammer, for example? Like, could you make a Brotherhood of Steel Space Marine Force, for example? 32mm? Human scale dogs? Human scale dogs? Were there giant dogs in Fallout? I don't remember. Alright, so I had a whole debate with, honestly, kind of a moron on Discord. I'm just gonna be straight up. Kind of a moron on Discord. Did not understand the difference between theoretically no, let me do this in the correct sequence. Hypothetically possible, theoretically possible, within a scientific context, okay? Hypothetically possible, theoretically possible, mathematically possible, and actually possible. Did not understand the difference between the four at all, on any level. He, as far as he was concerned, all four were the exact same. Immediately killed me. Basic Primaris, 32mm, 40. Yeah, seriously. 40mm for super mutant dogs. I don't even remember super mutants having dogs, but yeah, and super mutants. Death calls at 50mm. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, seriously. So how it started was asking if there was any theoretical limit to magnification, and I'm like, okay, well, there's a couple. You have the limit on to, like, you can't use lenses to see, like, no matter how big or how nice you make them, you can't use them to see things smaller than photons, because photons are light particles, right? I'm gonna get rid of this vid for the moment here. Because you can't see things smaller than photons because you need photons to bounce off them into the magnifying glass, right? So then you have like electron magnifying glasses after that. And then you have seeing small things via colliding particles through a super collider. However, even though we have not reached it yet, there is a mathematical formula for the smallest we could possibly get measure things called the Planck length. And you can use this for other types of measurements, not just length, but in this case, the Planck length was the Planck length. Shockingly hard to say. Was the length was the main part. And Planck, this was developed in the 1860s, if memory serves, by a German mathematician, of using the 4 universal constants. And there is some deviation as to how this is exactly calculated, but I mean, it's so small, the deviations and philosophies on how to calculate this does not really matter. But the basic principle is you take the 4 universal constants and set them all to 1. So, when you take the super collider method, which is the current method for seeing as small of things as we can possibly see within the structure of particles themselves, it is currently calculated that if we were to try to go below the Planck limit with this method, no matter how we do the calculations, you just get black holes, which is not data. It's actually literally the destruction of data. The Planck distance smallest, yeah, you forgot the K at the end, but yeah. Smallest measurable distance theoretically can detect things smaller than a photon must be observed indirectly by observing the effects of it instead by direct observation. I'm from the plane. Right. I'm like decently as well. Because I really like, I have phases where I listen to a lot of hard science videos. Yeah, that's, I mean, fair. I mean, I just typed it out a bunch like all afternoon today, so I'm warmed up. And then on the opposite side, it was for like telescopes, the limit, there's a hard limit, which is the limit of the observable universe, which is named that because there's not been enough time passed since the beginning of the universe for light to reach us for anything beyond that. However, all evidence we do have points to there still being more stuff out there beyond the observable limits of the universe. And the only way we will ever know for certain is if we figure out a way to travel faster than light. Significantly faster than the speed of light. Like, monstrously so. Which is a misnomer in and of itself. Because the speed of light, for anyone who doesn't know, is not the speed that light travels. It is the fastest the universe allows anything to move. Light in a vacuum is going at max speed of the universe because it's massless. It will always go as fast as any external environments will allow, which it does not always travel at the speed of light, by the way. Also, I hurt my arm today, but oof. Love these types of conversations. What's your thoughts on regional expansion versus general expansion of the universe that we can observe? So you're talking about like red shifting, right? So my understanding is that basically everything's moving away from everything else, but it's all like super relative, which honestly just kind of hurts my brain, which is shocking because usually like weird concepts like that I usually grasp rather well, but it's like, okay, so everything's moving away from everything else, but also like away from us. Regional expansion versus general expansion of the universe. So I don't even know what like my thoughts on it are. It's just annoying for extragalactic colonization, I suppose is my primary opinion on it. Like, ah, oh, thanks. Now if we want to go to Andromeda, it's gonna be even farther away than when we set out. Oh, I think we got pictures. Ooh. I don't like those dogs. Not your paint job. Your paint job's just fine. In fact, your paint job might be a little too good considering the subject matter. Gross. The Deathclaw is great, however, the chitin is quite marvelous. I would love if you got a better camera setup so we could truly appreciate the paint job on those, but yeah, anyway. Regional expansion is that the expansion of our supercluster does not match expansion of everything outside our supercluster. Oh, I feel like that should be self-evident in that we have a supercluster going, which means our stuff is closer together than everything else is to our stuff. So the gravitational effect within the supercluster is going to be greater than the gravitational effect outside the supercluster. Speed of light is the fastest that we can directly observe. However, we observe things seem to teleport using supercluster. Yeah, the stuff superimposing through quantum mechanics. Superpositioning. I actually really like superpositioning as a concept. I read a whole book on this back when I was like 18, 19. I read at work. Imagine you're going into your retail job and you walk into the break room, and there's this kid with a, no joke, 6-inch tall teal mohawk reading a book on quantum mechanics. That was me at my first job. I had a fair bit more hair right here back then. There are other more densely populated superclusters that expand faster. I personally think the expansion is the gravitational refraction of the observed energies. I can see that. I mean, there's still plenty to postulate on dark energy, dark matter. Just by your book, we would have been buddies. Oh, yeah, probably. I should probably turn the music back on. Gina's still posting very nice Fallout models. He's got a whole library going on over here. My only complaint with the miniatures, not your paint job, the miniatures themselves, is that they feel very, they feel kind of low res to me. But maybe I've just gotten spoiled by 40K style stuff. Okay. Dark Matter lives. Are we talking about the show Dark? Oh no, I'm thinking, was it Dark Matter? What's the name of that show? Yeah, I think it was Dark Matter. It's nothing to do with Zatu alien. What's the Zatu alien? I don't know. Apparently I don't know enough about Fallout. Oh yeah, I was gonna turn the music back on. Where is it? Here. There. Okay. Yeah, Dark Matter is the show where the 6 of them wake up on a ship with no memories and they gotta put their life back together. That was a really good show. And it was really frustrating that they ended it right as interdimensional aliens showed up. How dare they? I was so excited. I don't know if that's what you were talking about, but that's where I went. That's the only appears in the crash ship and fall. Right. I remember the pistol. Man, I have not played that game in how many years? Over 10, I'll say that much. It's been over 10 years. So anyway, the conclusion of that, of the other person was, let me say his postulation correctly. Hypothetically, really, the black hole is the smaller than, this is me, like, basically steel manning his argument, by the way. We can go smaller than Planck, because the black holes are how we get smaller than Planck, because black holes are really just portals to other dimensions. However, he still refused to actually postulate that remotely correctly, and also thinks that math is not really a way to actually prove science, by the way. A whole different conversation about how he doesn't believe gravity exists. Because you can't, because they've never made a physical model that proves gravity. And I'm like, you realize for like the type of physical model you're looking for, it would have to be something larger than the continent of North America before you'd get a appreciable gravitational effect that wasn't related to the Earth. Yes, and the pistol's next to the alien corpse, but if you have the Mars ship DLC, you get kidnapped around. Oh, I didn't have the DLC. That's why I don't remember. Make a bad reference to X last year. Oh, rearranging words. Yes, the show is good. Algebraically, 1 equals 0. I feel like I missed what the algebraically was in reference to. Help me. Help me, please. Oh, also had a whole geopolitical conversation earlier on. What was the other guy's original position? It was 2 complaints about the inequity of countries imposing their will upon other ones because of a lack of a super... Oh, I have to scroll up and like read it. We're talking about math. We do not have enough systems in math to correctly describe our observations. Yeah. Pretty much. I'm gonna get tagged on Discord. Oh. Getting reminded that Sunday night in D&D, it is total war. Okay, you know what? Let's go into that conversation, because... Yeah, it's using algebraic proof. 1 equals 0, which is why we cannot divide by 0. Ah. I am very much in support of math. Does not mean that I retain the fact that I was quite good at it in high school. If I had some time to restudy it, I'd probably get good at it again, but I am not. I do not do math much outside of like Warhammer. I do a lot of probability calculations, and those aren't even necessarily that good, and that's about all math. Calculus is created by describe planetary motions, which requires the ability to divide by 0. Oof. I didn't actually know that part of it. I didn't do calculus in high school. I'm pretty sure we did... Yeah, I did geometry and trig. I didn't even finish Triggers. Actually, I skipped most of the 12th grade. I was homeschooled, so the end of my schooling life was kind of weird. It was a whole thing. Don't worry about it. It has never affected my life once. Shockingly. I say that sarcastically. Oh yeah, so D&D, right. So I've been in this game for like 2 months now, where we're basically rebuilding civilization on this weird island that a bunch of people keep washing up on. It's very much, it's D&D meets a little bit of Lost, the show. But there's some, because D&D, there's a bunch of like crazy magic going on. So for example, we found a scroll that effectively has allowed us to do extremely powerful things every once in a while on like kind of a recharge cycle, and it's something to do with the voice of a dead god. Don't worry about it. I'm choosing not to worry about it. Actively. Consistently. We've used it to build a star fort on a lake, as well as a small army of automatons to help man said walls and do labor and smarter stuff. And currently we're prepping for an army of 2,500 people coming to annihilate us. We are calling in all the favors. This is also announced like literally 1 week after we set up a provisional government. Because our castle is now currently host to about 120 people now. The actual party is about 12 people on the regular. I think our actual total is like 15, but some people don't come around very often. It's a very large-scale game. It took me about a 4-hour conversation to convince people that we did not want a governor, we needed a council. And then somehow got voted on to set the council. I did not expect that part. My guy does not have a very good reputation, which is entirely based upon myths and misdirections that he himself perpetuates. So, what do they do with the guy, the wizard that does illusions of shadow and horror and intimidation stuff? You know what they do? You know what these 5-brain geniuses do? They look at that guy and they say, you're gonna be seat of trade. Trade covers all out of our faction. Trading, diplomacy, and intelligence gathering. Oh, I'm the diplomat, huh? Shadow Wizard. Literally Shadow Wizard money gang. Like, on the nose. I even made a crest for myself. My office. Anyway. Oh, I am being discorded things. What am I saying? Winston Churchill was a carrot, a mathematical proof from Kingdom Hearts Insider. This should be good. Oh boy. Oh, I dragged the wrong thing. I almost dragged Martarian's dash sheet on the thing. It's from the book Zero, A Dangerous Idea. Oh, good lord. Okay. Let's hurt everyone's brain for a few minutes because I think that is funny. This, I mean, it can't hurt our brains more than the conversation we had a little while ago about Trump buying a gun from a quote racist gun store. I hate everything. Okay, alright, so let's see, what do we got? Following is taken from Charles Seif's book Zero, The Biography of Dangerous Idea. It is a tremendous book, recommended for anyone interested in history of philosophy and mathematics. Okay, so let A and B each be equal to 1. Since A and B are equal, B squared equals A times B. Since A equals itself, it's obvious that A squared equals A squared. Seems reasonable. Subtract equation 1 from equation 2. This yields A squared equals A squared minus B squared equals A squared minus A times B. Reasonable. We can factor both sides of the equation. A squared minus A times B equals A parentheses A minus B. Likewise, A squared minus B squared equals parentheses A plus B times A minus B. Okay. Letting fish is going here. Statement's perfectly true. Plug in numbers, see for yourself. Substituting into equation 3, we get A plus B parentheses times A minus B parentheses equals A times parentheses A minus B. I know I'm throwing around parentheses probably incorrectly verbally, but you know, whatever. It's only racist gun store because Trump got the gun from there, yet Trump did morph black. Well, apparently people are saying it's a racist gun store because it's where that Jacksonville mass shooter at the dollar store got his gun. And also apparently they were selling anti-gov merchandise based on the Boogaloo movement. I went down this whole rabbit hole earlier on stream. Boogaloo, which people kept saying were far right because it was anti-government, but that doesn't, anti-government doesn't mean far right. If anything, far right is more government. Do people don't understand what far means on the political compass? Further you get, the more autocratic you become by nature. So like if you're trying to topple the federal government, then you're probably not right enough for the people they're thinking of. Is that low? That little black blip is me. Okay. However, the gun store makes its own guns, so I can see why he might just want their guns. So I don't see the actual problem. Green screen doesn't want to play nice, so I'll just move my camera slightly. A little speck on my OBS. Oh, that speck's on my screen. Alright, anyway. Okay. Now divide both sides by the equation A minus B, and we get A plus B equals A. Subtract A from both sides, and we get B equals 0. Okay. But we set B to 1 at the very beginning of the proof, so that means 1 equals 0. Okay? This is an important result. Going further, we know Winston Churchill has 1 head. But 1 equals 0 by equation 7, so that means that Winston has no head. Likewise, Churchill has 0 leafy tops, meaning therefore he has 1 leafy top. Multiplying both sides of equation 7 by 2, we see that 2 equals 0. Churchill... This is great. Churchill has 2 legs, therefore he has no legs. Churchill has 2 arms, therefore he has no arms. Now multiply 7 with Winston Churchill's waist size in inches. This means that Winston's waist size equals 0. This means that Winston Churchill tapers to a point. And what color is Winston Churchill? Take any beam of light that comes from him and select a photon. Multiply 7 by the wavelength, and we see that Winston's photon's wavelength is 0. By multiplying equation 7 by 640 nanometers, we see that 640 equals 0. Combining equations 10 and 11, we see that Winston's photon's wavelength equals 640 nanometers. This means this photon or any other photon comes from Churchill is orange. For Winston Churchill's a bright shade of orange. To sum up, we prove mathematically Winston Churchill has no arms and no legs. Instead of a head, he has a leafy top, he tapers to a point, and he is bright orange. Clearly, Winston Churchill is a carrot. A simple way to prove this, angle 1 to both sides of equation 7 gives the equation 2 equals 1. Winston Churchill and a carrot are two different things, therefore they are one thing, but it's not nearly satisfying. What is wrong with this proof? Leave you with the cliffhanger. He does answer his own riddle, but wants to surprising minds of kids trying to work on his first effort. Good lord. Okay, but that was a fair bit more satisfying than the nonsense we were looking at before, to be fair. So, hey, I can't say I was dissatisfied by that rabbit hole. Or carrot hole, I guess. A rabbit hole of a rabbit looking for carrots, and instead finds Winston Churchill. It gives me a like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy or a Catch-22 vibe. Not gonna lie. Yeah, I might have to look into it. I might have to actually buy the book though, not an audiobook like I usually do, because that must be an absolute nightmare to listen to. Covers a lot of historical info and lots of methods explained easily and with humor. Yeah. Well, that's like Catch-22 explaining psychology in a warfare setting with a lot of humor. Or Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy explaining, well, logic in general, I guess. Good movie too, by the way. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. I don't believe they hit everything in the book, but they did a pretty good job. I have? Good. So, I have found myself at a... I don't think my mind's necessarily processing that. It's just, it has found itself at a satisfactory point and wishes to go no further, I guess. I don't know where to go from there. I guess, I was talking about D&D, but I kind of lost my trails where that was. There was a whole NATO, US monolithicism, whatever, convo I was gonna bring up from earlier, but meh. Hey, shoplifting. I preferred the British series, but the movie is good as well. That's fair. I don't think I'm familiar with the British one, but... Oh, there was a series. Oh, you mean like they made a show? Is that what you're talking about? I mean, besides Doctor Who. Oh, I just remembered. Hey, Bob, you know how last night I was like, hey, I'll go over all of the revealed and confirmed Space Marine detachments? I totally did not do that. I got sidetracked and we completely skipped over the White Scars and the Raven Guard one. I realized that after the stream, I was like, oh, we just completely ignored that. That didn't get brought up at all. Which, by the way, if someone were to want to do melee Space Marines, the White Scars definitely seems to be the one to take. So that one is called the Stormlands Task Force. And its attachment rule is fairly simple. Your entire army is eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which they advanced or fell back. You can always charge. You have permacharge available to you. I suppose, like, well, not getting out of a vehicle that doesn't have a stall ramp, but you get the idea. But why would you bother with that when the new assault intercessors with jump pack, they have the Hammer of Wrath rule, which is straight up 9th edition stratagem. You see a black woman enters the salon with a pack him and try to steal 60 quids worth of hair products. She prevented him from leaving the shop and proceeded to beat the crap out of the store owner for like 3 minutes till he retaliated, and she called him racist for it. No, but I wonder if that comes up in the Erudite video I was playing earlier. I had a woman just throwing a ton of meat, I mean a ton of meat, into the back of her car. To try and get the owner done for racing, get his shop shut down. That doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah, you know what? I will quickly go over these attachments and my thoughts on them, and then we'll jump back over to the Erudite video about shoplifting. Alright, so Hammer of Wrath on Jump Pack Intercessors. This is their special rule. Each time this unit ends a charge move, which you can just keep doing with the Stormlands Task Force. Select one enemy unit with engagement range of it, and roll 1d6 for each model in this unit that is within engagement range of that enemy unit. For each 4-up, the enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound. And they have a stratagem, 1 CP for Wind Swift Evasion, Strategic Ploy. When your opponent's in your opponent's movement phase, just after an enemy unit ends a normal advance or fall back move, you target one Deadly Stars unit from your army that's within 9 inches of the enemy unit. Your unit can make a normal move of up to 6 inches, and you cannot select a unit that is within engagement range of one or more enemy units. What that means basically is if someone's trying to run at you, or even near you, you can then move up to 6 inches. Which means if they don't get within 6 inches in that move, you can just deny them the charge outright, or at least make it really hard on them. In any event, you will be adding a minimum, or not minimum, a maximum of 6 inches to their charge, whatever the situation. Which is pretty gnarly, honestly. The same as a target activation because against a black weapon after taking the beating for 3 minutes, you grab her by the throat to make her stop smacking in the head with shopping baskets in her fists. Was it all on video? Yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna do the Vanguard Vet Bomb strat again, it's gonna be using the Stormlance. So the Vanguard, the Raven Guard one, I am not too keen on. So you show a 1 CP strike from the shadows, which is in your shooting phase. You target one Deadly Stars infantry from your army that's not been selected to shoot this phase. Basically, if you're more than 12 inches away, you improve your ballistic skill and armor penetration by 1. And if you destroy a model, you force a battle shock test. The detachment rule is Shadow Masters, which if you are above 12 inches away from your target, when people are shooting at you from over 12 inches, they subtract 1 from the hit roll and target's benefit of cover against the attack. So, effectively worsening their AP for AP -1 does nothing to AP -0. Basically, it only starts helping you when it's AP 2 or better, as it makes AP 2 -1, and then so on. Basically, it's showing a bunch of rules that incentivize you to stay over 12 inches away from your enemies, which I don't think is good. as basically it gives your enemy all the power to dictate your movements, and you're not going to be vying for those middle objective markers, I mean. Yes, I saw the full video. Now it's hard, and that's buried by the cut versions for media pushing out, which show a very slimmed down version. That doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but for some reason GW keeps thinking that stealth means staying very far away from your enemy and staying far away from your enemy. Even though stealth kind of... the whole point is getting close to your enemy? Before they know that you're there? I don't know. And there's been leaks that apparently Raven Guard are going to be getting their deep strike rule again, basically, where you can take an infantry and deep strike it, but because transports are good now and there's so many ways of getting assault or advanced in charge or whatever else, Space Marines are so fast on the board compared to before that I don't see much of a need for a deep strike rule, honestly. Like, just toss them in a vehicle and take advantage of the vehicle now. Now that the vehicle is good. Alright, so... let's grab... yeah, it's a summation of my thoughts on that one. I talked about a bunch more right after those reveals came out, but that's the gist of it.
Out that one of the main groups of people that suffer as
This, by the way, this is not so erudite, which is generally a liberal commentator, liberal / progressive, but tries to stay relatively reasoned and nuanced. I think she usually ends up rather reasonable. I'm curious to see if you've seen Math Puzzle. You don't need to discuss, you don't wish. Let me look at it real quick. Okay. 3 guys are on a business trip across the country. It's late at night and they're all tired, but in the middle of nowhere. They see a small hotel and decide to stop for the night. The night clerk informed them that they only have 1 room left and it costs $30. They all decide splits. They each pay $10. Later that night, the manager realizes that they were having a special and the room's only $25. So the manager gives 5 times $1 bells to the bellboy and tells him to take it to the room and split it between the men. Bellboy thinks about how he's going to split the money, so he decides to pocket $2 and give each man $1. Since each man paid 1 and received 1 back, they're all out $9 for the night. So if 9 times 3 guys equals 27 plus 2, the bellboy pocketed a total of 29. Where'd the other dollar go? Okay, so okay, $5 split between the 3 men. You pocket 2 and give 1 back each. So they each pay 10. They get 1 back. So they've each paid 9. Well, yeah. Based on that, because it doesn't split evenly anyway. Because, yeah, if they paid... so they paid the place 25 effectively, but got skimped the $2 on top, which would have made it 27. It's an illusion. The math problem's an illusion. Hold on, bring up the chat. I can't actually see the chat the way I have this currently right now. I can't see chat and chat. Okay. I was thinking I had a bed soon. Fair enough, man. Yeah, the discrepancy is an illusion. It's still $30. All $30 still exist. It's just, it's only $9 from the reference point of having been given the $1 back. But if they had split the $2 into 75 cents between the three, I want to say it's 75 cents between the three. Or 2/3. I'm thinking the apple thing. Like, how do you split 2 apples between 3 people? Like that thing? I think it's like 2/3. I think it's, so it's like 66 cents. So actually, it's 1 penny discrepancy, if anything, between them. Yeah, 0.66. So really, they should have gone 1.66, $1.66 between them, and you multiply that by 3, and it's $4.98. So 2 cents goes away. But then it would have been $29.98 basically. Yeah, the 27 and the missing dollar is an illusion. Yeah, the multiplication is an unnecessary step. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, all the dollars are there. It's the perception of reducing it back down to what the individual 3 men paid. Yes. No, it was. That was fun. I am relearning that I like math. I mean, I kind of already knew that. I just didn't really think about how I like abstract math, even when it has nothing to do with gaming.
Of stealing from local business is typically the general manager of the store. So a way a lot of corporations work, and I don't know what store this is attached to, so I can't obviously say specifically this is how this corporation works. But there's this general sentiment among the left where, like, as long as you're shoplifting from major companies like Target and stuff like that, then it's fine. The issue is that it still disproportionately negatively impacts usually kind of like the local entrepreneur who talked to Target or any other corporation and now is managing the location on site. So stealing from local stores, even from Target, disproportionately impacts the local general manager. The main person who will take losses isn't actually Target itself. It will be the locale. It'll be the general manager. Because often what happens in these corporations is essentially the general manager, to some degree, like purchases and buys from Target and is affiliated with Target and gets like the support through Target. But the general manager is paid in large part out of the income of the store that they're managing as well, right? So this is why there's a really lack of understanding. And the way that this will work for Target as a corporation is if the general manager can't stay on top of things, like say he's got massive what we call shrinkage, because shoplifting is considered part of shrinkage, which is like the difference between the sent stock that they received and the stock that the actual company has. And shrinkage is due to people misplacing items, like just staff scanning an item wrong, which happens, staff stealing, so shoplifting, but from the store that you work for, and just general shoplifting. It's all called shrinkage, right? Target as a corporation has like a shrinkage that they account for all of their locations. But if certain businesses locally have higher shrinkage or their income is not competitive enough, Target can choose to fully pull out of a location. This is why shoplifting disproportionately affects your local economy. You're harming the general manager, who's usually a local person from your neighborhood, usually a middle class, entrepreneurial type, the type that you want to be there, the type who you want opening businesses there. It costs them money directly, and it increases the likelihood that Target itself will pull out, which could cost jobs as well. And so while there is a whole conversation to be had about price gouging and wage theft and time theft. There's a whole bunch of
Which is like, did you really think not governments, corporations, retail corporations got as large as they did? Because let's be real, retail is not nearly as profitable as it looks. In a lot of ways. As someone that has even run my own, or even right now, look at my merch store, right? I would like to sell my merch cheaper, but it's expensive. I literally cannot go cheaper or else I am pretty much losing money. The profit margins are very slim. You make a lot of money through... now, granted, large corporations do get way better deals than I get, for example. But still, retail margins, even when you can get them, like, from wholesalers, because I've done this as well. My ex and I used to run a small store. She still kind of runs it. And we did get stuff from wholesalers and resold them, as well as stuff that we produced locally. And, man, the profit margins are not actually that high. So you really think these large corporations did not find ways of managing the risk of shoplifting in ways so it does not affect their overall corporate bottom line when a certain area gets out of hand? Same for me on my eBay store and website. Yeah. Right, like you gotta set your prices just right. Like, it's like you buy like a $20-$25 mug, and I get a couple dollars. The way I make money is on the minis I sell, is if they're paying as it's only costing me time to pay, but people will pay for that, so they don't want to do it themselves. Yeah. It's just the way I paint mine, it takes so much time that I'm like, I can't paint stuff with the hopes of selling it and have to sit there and not actually sell. I can't. It's way too much time sunk into it. So that's why I do it on commission. You pay me first, then I paint it, basically. Or at minimum agree to pay me, right? But yeah, with these super thin profit margins of retail, of course these corporations have figured out how to minimize their actual risk if an area goes off the deep end and starts shoplifting like crazy. In tabletop gaming, the best profit margins terrain, that makes sense to me. Yeah, I can see how that would be the case. Although really, I'm not even trying to make money off tabletop exactly. Like, at this point, commissions are like a secondary. I'm looking for the streaming and video revenue specifically. At this point, the commission is just to help things stay afloat while I do this, in addition to my normal stuff that I do to pay the bills, my programming, which, yeah, ran into my first proper, like, normal problem. For some reason, I've got a form. It's just like an HTML and a little bit of JavaScript form. I'm actually mostly pulling pieces from other stuff on the website that already works. And there's like this big, like, text field that you're supposed to put a bunch of information into. And it won't upload to the database, to the SQL database. I don't know why. It's weird. It'll display info from the database back to you. It's like stuff that was entered previously. But it won't submit to the database, and I'm just kind of stuck as to why. It's also doing its last thing on that page I need to do. Like, I could have just marked off a whole page of the project, like, done today, but just like that one text area, just didn't want to do anything. Ugh. Yes, it looks cheap to print, but slicing don't take into account electricity for printers, the cleaning fluid, the electric for the washing machine, current machine, cost for the bubble wrap and shim box. Oh, I know. I have two printers myself. People don't realize with painting, for example, like the brushes I use, because it's very high quality brushes, Mighty Mojave brushes, these are like $14 a brush. And like software, the cameras, like I've sunk like 50 bucks in the last, over 50 bucks, like 60 bucks in the last 2 weeks trying to get adapters for a better lens, so you guys get a better picture. I want just a little bit more zoom to get a little bit more zoom out of this giant telescoping thing, monstrosity, but it has a different thread than my camera, which would be fine because, you know, adapters exist, but the product info didn't have the number of millimeters the thread was. Man, you want to see something crazy? Yes. Okay. This is like nearly a dozen camera lens adapters all screwed together and adapted for easier storage and to keep track of. Turn the music back on. Okay, so like this is a step down ring, 82 by 77 millimeter. Doesn't sit in there. Anyway, so apparently there is a size. Apparently it's not 37, like the small one here. It's the new lens. It's not 37. It's not 43 because I bought a 43 one. It looks like it's probably 42. Why does 42 and 43 both exist? Why is that a thing? Why? Dear God, why does 42 millimeter and 43 millimeter both exist as diameters for thread size? What even? So what this is going to turn into is going to turn into a 42 to a 55. Nope, a 42 to a. What was that? I was looking over. I think it's a 42 to a 40. Yeah, 42 to 40. 42 to 55, and a 55 to 52. 52 to 49, and 49 actually goes to my camera. It's gonna be like 3 adapters to make this thing work. Yeah. One is the meaning of life, one is the meaning of your stress. Yes. Yeah, pretty much. Are the rest of the parts of the page being sent out? Yeah, everything works except this one text area. Yes, if it's personal, it's cheap. If it's selling, I make virtually nothing. Yeah, I have 9 resin and 2 plastic. Yeah, I hear you. I got plastic and a resin. I haven't used either in forever because I actually can't use my resin. Oh. It just rolled right off and took some cardboard with it. So you have to buy more. Yeah. Let's buy more. Oh, speaking of buying more. I have fun stuff that came in the mail. Oh, Venom's not here. Venom made this happen. We got new bits. Yeah. We got hardcore. Is a field that's going in definite purpose string. Do you get limited field length in this field? No, just open text. Just a text field on the SQL database, and it's in many ways it's actually set up the same way as a bunch of other stuff on the form is. So it's itself don't want to work. Look at these lovely Savage Raven Guard styled bitters. I'm gonna get Bamboo PLS. I think this is supposed to be a grav pistol. Some of the details are a little less than the height end, but I can kind of make them out. They could have been a bit deeper, but hey. Got silenced the bolt pistol. I do like how you have the Raven skulls as the stamps holding the purity seals on. And I quite like these hooked swords. I find it interesting. He? I'm assuming it's a he who designed them. I have them on a reverse grip, but sure. Got some tilt plates, if it was focused, there we go. Nice tilt plates. Shoulders, but like, I guess like camo cloth, and then like the exact opposite is super ornate. I don't know how well you can see it, but there's a ton of like little skulls lining the ornate one. Interesting. A bunch of different types of heads. I feel like the way these shine, they still need to be cleaned, maybe, I don't know. Anyway. Try casting the entire field to string before submitting, maybe. React to the data frame as a single list object and push it over to spitball and maybe naming convention issue and page elements. I don't think it's a naming issue because it pulls it from the database into the field as a pre-existing thing. It's not inputting. It might be the string bit, however. So the string thing, you might be onto something. So it has a bit of as a JavaScript thing, it flies through that makes it one of those advanced text editors. So you have all the formatting options, and it might be the additional formatting. Well, no, because when it pulls the thing from the database and you hit the source button, it shows it's surrounded by like the HTML icons for a paragraph. I haven't even tried like formatting the text and sending it yet. It's just throwing the text and that won't even send. I think it's a CSS thing. Well, the advanced editor is a JavaScript thing. It's a JavaScript like package. What do I have left in this guy? Oh yeah, I gotta clean up all the highlighting with black and stuff. My brain's kind of burned out on it right now. Where's the quality on this? If JavaScript treats it as an object and you might need to cast a string, I don't know. I'll look into that thing though. If JavaScript is rewriting as an object, then that might be why it's not getting input correctly.
Bunch of conversations about like how corporations are probably doing a lot of bad with like all this stuff. We're not going to correct the course of this by like encouraging and defending shoplifting. Shoplifting is in no way, defending the people. You're not Robin Hood. You're mostly just fucking over the local entrepreneur who's willing to start it. Hi, everyone.
Have a good night, Bob.
If you want... So what we're going to do is we're going to pull up our old friend Thought Slime, who's notorious for these talking points, to kind of go into like what some of the defense will be. Luckily, in response to Merrick's post, there have been a couple of lefties who came out saying, this is not the grounds that we need to stand on. So that's good. That's actually good to see. They mostly argue it from like an optics standpoint than like a moral standpoint, but you know, take your W's where you can, right? Well, if the businesses don't exist, they can't steal from their workers and local businesses. Local entrepreneurs get treated too much like holy cows.
What?
It's not about treating them like holy cows, but the reason local entrepreneurs are so valuable, again, if you're a socialist who cares about the working class and whatnot, local entrepreneurs are the things that bring wealth to local economies, right? Entrepreneurs are some of the most valuable people in a local space, right? They're the ones bringing businesses. And if you have enough businesses that are established, you'll bring new residents, right? Local entrepreneurs are really valuable. I'm not saying that they can do no wrong, but fucking over local entrepreneurs to fuck the elite and rich doesn't help anything. It's counter to the entire purpose of the goal, which is fucking the rich, according to leftists, right?
As an entrepreneur, I like to think of myself as a holy cow.
Are you the content creator or just a low-level digital redistributor? Good question. Both, Soy. Both. All right.
True. This should be good.
Shoplifting is not really that kind of circumstance, is it? It's a bit of a gray area. That's the type of crime that virtually everyone has at least some experience with, even if they've never done it themselves. So everyone's got an opinion on it, and it can get pretty heated. Oddly enough, a lot of shoplifting discourse seems to get heated specifically because somebody made a comic strip about shoplifting, either a good, based comic, or a bad, cringe comic. And, you know, someone makes a comic you disagree with, you don't gotta be shitty to them, just leave them alone. Everyone agrees that there are, of course, times when it is morally permissible to steal. If you're starving, nobody expects you to just die about it. Most people would not judge you for stealing a loaf of bread to feed your hungry family. Everyone except, like, the food professor, of course. But you know, reasonable people wouldn't hold that against you. So for the sake of arguing, let's ignore shoplifting that is done strictly to survive. We can agree on that much, I think. I'm not really interested in appealing to the type of trash brain who wouldn't agree with that. If you think people should die rather than steal a loaf of bread, I just gotta question your moral priorities. Likewise, I think most people can agree that stealing from small businesses is, at the very least, less defensible than stealing from big corporations. Obviously, not all quote-unquote small businesses are created equal, but there's clearly a difference between stealing from a local business and, like, Best Buy. We could get into a whole discussion about gentrification here, and how small business is a term that's often used as a smokescreen for a sort of petite bourgeois assimilation of places that poor people had once lived. Nothing is simple, everything is complicated, but generally, we can agree, I think, that it's worse to steal from Dave's Cool Soup store than from Walmart. So, we will focus here on stealing from big corporate chains, since that's what most people tend to argue about anyway. That's one concession per side of the debate, which should equal out, but I'm sure will make both sides feel as though I'm selling them short. From henceforth, unless I specify otherwise, when I say shoplifting, I am referring specifically to stealing from a big corporate chain for fun and or profit, or some reason other than strict necessity. Is that the most typical form of shoplifting? Probably not, but it's the one that I'm most interested in arguing about. Once again, even if, hypothetically, I believed that shoplifting was based and or slime-pilled, I could not advocate for it directly. Even if I could, I'm not sure I'd want to be responsible for you making that kind of choice on account of jail. Whether or not I think shoplifting is ethical kind of puts aside the issue of whether or not it is a good idea to do. Please use appropriate caution and do not base major life decisions about what crimes you should or should not commit based on what a YouTuber talking head told you. This is an opinion piece. So it's not, you can't show this video in court. They won't accept it. Pro-shoplifter people,
Based anime.
and full disclosure, this is the side I tend to be more sympathetic with, in case you couldn't tell already, will claim that anti-shoplifters are just bootlicking sycophants, brainwashed into believing corporate propaganda. And if that's the case, maybe then we should try to be a little sympathetic to people who are affected by said propaganda, because I don't think it makes a lot of sense to get angry at someone for believing something they have been brainwashed about. Anti-shoplifting people tend to argue that shoplifting is bad for the vulnerable employees of large corporations, that the cost of shoplifting trickles down and harms innocent people, that shoplifters may believe their crimes are victimless, or at the very least, the victims of their crimes are people who kinda deserve it, but that's just a convenient excuse to justify doing whatever suits their selfish impulses. Right away, I think we can see some common ground here. Putting aside, for now, the issue of who exactly, if anyone, is hurt by shoplifting, it seems like we all—
All right, a bunch of you are gonna dislike his takes. And hold on, before you conservatives get your willies off, okay? I'm gonna come in at you with some hard statistics that we need to deal with. For example, wealth inequalities and how it leads directly to crime. How as as inflation goes up, so does shoplifting, okay? These are very real issues, and
Part of my political test, I'm slightly authoritarian right swing, so I'm center right, but to a leftist, that'd make me a right-wing extremist. To a leftist, a proper leftist, which is not even erudite here, is a leftist, to be clear. I am considered a right-wing extremist, and I am, as a classical liberal, usually end up in the center, more or less. I probably, if any... Well, no, it depends on the topic, because I depending on the exact subject, I can and will swing left and right, depending. So yeah, that's why I usually say de facto centrist. It's not that I'm trying to be centrist, just I'm going for the most efficient approach with the highest amount of individual freedoms I can find. And that usually ends up with a lot of different answers depending on the subject at hand. But yes, according to even a leftist, or according to leftists, even I am, that's right. According to a leftist, even I am a right-wing extremist because of things like I like guns. I like guns quite a bit. Biggest reason I don't already own a bunch of guns is because of finances and other higher priorities. Next year, if things continue on their current trajectory next year, I should be looking at getting at least a couple guns, for example. Or, I'm generally pro-business, pro-market. So that usually sets me a little bit more on the right. However, on the left, I think generally speaking, in private life, you should be able to do pretty much whatever you want. 3 points above center and 3.5 points right, so center right. I don't think I've... Which test are you doing? Send me that test. You know what? Are we... Alright, let's do it. We're going to do tables, political compass test on stream tonight, apparently. Apparently it is that night. I wonder how many of the questions I'm going to be like, this question is stated rather poorly.
Shoplifting just isn't just as simple as being like, just don't do it, man. Obviously, it is as far as the actual action, but it's a much more complicated conversation than just being like shoplifting bad, and if you shoplift, that's the end of the conversation. Even though shoplifting does fuck the local economy the most, even when you steal from large corporations. This was released.
I think what she's trying to get at is that it should be seen as on an individual level. It's a bad thing, you shouldn't do it, but on a collective, on a macro, on a societal level, we should look at this and be like, okay, this is probably indicative of something wrong that we should address. Because if things were good, this should not be a thing we should be consistently talking about, or it shouldn't be so consistent that we are talking about in the first place. Because I think you can have conversations where things are nested on multiple levels, that there is a balance to be found between the individual and the collective. And in some things, a collective needs to take higher priority, and other things, the individual needs to take higher priority. 5 pages, 6 is 10 is test results, okay? Let me set all my stuff up here. Alright, here we go. Alright. Alright, let's go. Okay. Actually, I want to preface this with this should just it went hold on. Pull it up on there first. I want to preface this with my big 5 results because I think it'll give some context. Apparently I have to log in first. Okay. Alright. So this is my big 5 factor scores. My agreeableness is 20. It is low, which, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know how this works, is that these numbers is where you rank within like a even spread of 100 people that shows like the least to most of a factor within like, you know, human results as put against everyone else that has ever taken this test, right? So agreeableness is 20. It's on the low end. My compassion's actually moderately high, but my politeness is like nothing. I care nothing for established hierarchies or what have you in of themselves. Extroversion is 92. I really like people. I like talking to people. No duh, I'm trying to be a streamer. Conscientiousness is 66. My openness is 97. I am extremely open and love talking about ideas and wanting new experiences. And neuroticism is a 6. I am very, very durable versus negative emotions. This is all after vastly transforming myself. Like these two. Actually, no, my extroversion probably has always been high, but my neuroticism used to be much, much higher. But it wasn't until after I kind of fixed that did this come up. So some of that might come up in this. I'm getting tagged and stuff. Am I getting tagged? Ooh. Bree, friend of the channel, might be starting to stream again. I'll be on Twitch, however. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. That's nice. I haven't talked to Bree in a while. Another artist that I used to go back and forth with on Twitch quite a bit back when I was on Twitch. Alright, anyway, let's take the political compass test. If economic globalization is... Let me zoom in on this more, actually. Alright, here we go. If economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. Okay. This is already something of a bit more of a complicated thing than it initially looks. I think corporations, if done correctly, pull up the bottom rung of said humanity. So it depends on how they mean serve. Yeah, I'm already doing it. It's like these tests are sometimes bad. Should primarily serve humanity rather than when the interests of transnational corporations go against general humanity. Then I would agree. I'm gonna mild agree. Because I think there's so much nuance in there. It's insanity. I'd always support my country, whether it's right or... Does support mean not calling out? Well, that's what I mean. Like, these questions are so simplified and reductionist. I actually just had a whole, like, tirade this morning on Discord about how, like, you can't just argue, oh, because it'd be good for the U.S. as, like, a counter... Or it would just be good for the U.S. as a counterpoint. It's like, I'm an American. Like, that's just a point in my favor. Or for me to like it. But I'm gonna call out stuff America's doing bad, like, immediately. Like, I have no hesitation on it. So, like, support overarching the concept of my country, sure, but I will also call out its problems like immediately. I was considering joining the Marines when I was 16. Actually, I was actually quite sure I was going to do it, and then when I looked into more and more of the political situation with what was going on in the Middle East, I decided not to because I didn't support that war. So I guess we'll go with that. No one chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. Proud of it solely for that reason. Yes. If that is the only reason you are proud of said country, then yeah, I'd say it's rather foolish. Our race... No. Throw that. Anything race card, just right out the window. Dumb. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Usually? I will try. This is actually really funny because on the Understanding Myself, the Big 5 questionnaire, so many of my answers were strongly disagree or agree. Military action defies international law is sometimes justified. That's hard. That's actually quite hard. Can you make a justification for military actions that defy international law? As it stands today, I'm not an international law lawyer or scholar. The little bit I do know seems pretty reasonable. Yeah, I'm gonna have to actually I'm gonna have to disagree with this one. Actually. Short of self-defense, which I'm pretty sure international law is completely fine with. I think short of self-defense, I think you should really have a pretty well-built case before you go and say invading another country. So I'm gonna disagree. I'm open to being given arguments to cases when it could be justified, but now I'm gonna say disagree. There's now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. Yes, I think the pendulum's beginning to swing the other way, else I would strongly agree, but I think it's in the process of swinging the other way. Okay. I'm talking attitudes here, not the FTS. The index. People are ultimately divided more by class and nationality. Yes, I was strongly. By the way, I am in most ways, historically, economically, what have you, I'm very materialist. I think my general stance is that you can have whatever ethics or morality system you want, you can have whatever ideals you want, and people do make decisions off those to some extent, but at the end of the day, if you can't cover your baseline necessities as a human being, as an animal, it's not going to matter. It's either you're going to be dead or you're going to be trying anything possible on the table to not be dead. Controlling inflation is more important than Controlling inflation is more important. I'm going to strongly agree, because if inflation goes out of control and unemployment's going to... Corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment. They require regulation. This causes a feedback loop where the more regulation you make, corporations actually like a lot of regulation because they can use it to their advantage to knock out competition. And the process is so easy to get around regulation if you are trying hard enough, which places that have a lot of money can do so. Yeah. I'm gonna disagree. I'm not gonna strongly disagree. Some regulation's good, but when you go too far, you end up just helping the corporations. Each coin ability and to each your coins is fun and good. No, that's dumb. No, that's dumb. There's no way of actually enforcing this. You can do this within your house. You cannot do this as in an economy. The freer the market, the freer the people. Yeah. Yeah, I can go into a whole capitalism baseline theory on the hyperproductive. I've done it before, but I can do the whole thing. Is there a point where you get negligible returns? Probably. It's just we don't see that very often. It's hard to get to that point, especially as we get more and more technology that allows well, technology, it kind of bites both ways. It allows the people to be freer in some ways and easier for the government to control in other ways. It's odd. It's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled branded consumer product. I would strongly disagree. It might be basic as drinking water, but that doesn't mean it's available to you naturally. The bottled branded consumer product is the way of getting the water to you. That's why we don't have everyone fed, even though we make more enough food, is because the people that want to sell more food to the more people that are starving is because they can't actually get to them. They don't have food access. So forget about food availability, they don't have food access either. Well, no, there's food availability, but they don't have access to it because there's no infrastructure to get food there. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought or strongly disagree. This is probably going to be a lot of my strongest stuff. It's going to be in economics. This is where I usually sit a lot of times. Everything comes back down to economics. It's regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. It is not that many people. You see a lot of headlines, but no, most of the people that are making their fortunes are doing so because they contribute a lot. So I'm a strongly disagree with that. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. I'm a mildly agree. Excuse me. Okay. What? The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders. No. Also, that would be a corporation? But anyway, I suppose I can't be surprised. The rich are too highly taxed. You can tax them as high as you want. Most of them aren't paying. Most of the smart ones aren't paying tax anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I'll mildly disagree. If they know what they're doing with their money to stay rich, they know how to not pay hardly any taxes. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. I mean, my general principle is that you get what you pay for. Medical care is rough. Emergency medical care. We should try to get to the point where most people can get it without a problem. If it is reactionary to preventable stuff because you're doing because you're living stupid, then I don't think I want to help pay for your diabetes you got because you like drink nonstop soda, for example. It's just this question doesn't deviate in there. And then, like, you know, yeah, you can get like really good care for the stupid decisions you made because you have more money. Not, I guess, but it doesn't split that hair, so this doesn't say also doesn't say that the people with less don't have access. See, this is what I mean. It's a very poorly presented question, I think. I guess I'm gonna mildly disagree. It's weird. It's a very weird binary, I think. Government should penalize businesses that mislead the... Well, yeah, it's called false advertising. Already illegal. Genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. I'm gonna base this upon the use of predator. I'm taking that as implying that these people... Yeah, but you can still get diabetes from eating healthy. It's a very gray area. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like kind of a... It's not a great question. I'm gonna work off this one based off the predator word here as implying that they are using nefarious and very questionable, if not outright illegal practices to create the monopolies. So in which case, I'm gonna mildly agree because of, again, there's a bit of a gray area going on here. Because if it's simply a company comes into an area and they just do everything so much better that everyone else gets knocked out of competition, I mean, that's what competition is. You gonna like penalize someone for bringing in a good product and or service? Like, so I'm going off the predator inclusion here. That's the qualifier. Personal social values. Abortion, a woman's life's not threatened, should always be legal. No, I kind of go off of the consciousness idea. I think this is also super gray area. There's a lot of conversation to have here. All authority should be questioned. Yes, question it. Not necessarily burn it to the ground, but you should always be allowed to question. Eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth. That one's hard. Nah, generally speaking. Yeah, that's really contextual based. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that can't survive on a commercial basis. Taxpayers, theaters, and museums. I think well... Do I support government reinvesting into culture? I am gonna say that I am not gonna take a principle, but an opinion based on this, or like a anecdotal position on this. I am okay with my money being like a portion of my taxes being put towards this. I don't necessarily think that yeah, I feel like I wish like governments had more like buy-in stuff for stuff like this, where you could like choose to be part of paying for stuff like this or not. But they don't. It's just you get taxed and then they figure out what to do with the money later. It's like, yeah, it's like I had this conversation the other day about U.S.'s military spending. It's like the U.S. spends, 14% of its federal budget on defense spending. And I'm like, I am totally fine with 14% of my federal taxes being spent on the military. In fact, I'd probably be okay with more of my federal taxes being spent on defense spending because of all the different things that gets me as an American. Like, being the people with the largest stick, and liberalism in general being spread through the world, and more or less allowing more large-scale or international economic opportunity, as well as keeping Western developed society afloat by making sure that the oil does indeed float unhindered out of the Gulf and into the rest of the world, which is primarily handled by the U.S. Navy. So stuff like that. I can, but taxpayers should not be expected. I wish there was like a neutral on it. I could really kind of go either way, I think. It's weird. Man, I remember a time where like I would have like hit strong agree on this like in a heartbeat. School should not make classroom attendance complete. Strongly agree. If we're talking public schools, yeah. All people have the rights, but it's better for all of us. Different sorts of people should be kept to their own kind. What is that? No. Get out of here. Again, racial nonsense. I don't believe the literature supports this. Last I looked, anyway. Yeah. Yeah, it should not be a criminal offense. Where'd you go with the ad again? But serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to... What? You're jumping right into eugenics. I strongly disagree. I am not gonna go to any type of, This is because I'm zoomed in. No! It's the X. Nope. Close it. Okay. Nope, that's always there. Wow. That sucks. Was there any legislation that deals with reproduction rights in that regard? No. Can I? Okay, I'm gonna try copying it and what did I? The prime function of schooling should be to equip students for the future, something like that, I think. I don't think it copied it correctly. The prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs. No, I think that's one aspect of it, but I think it should be they should be equipping you to be a fully realized and actualized adult within society, a useful oh, there we go. Thanks. Useful and capable actualized adult. The most important thing children learn is to accept discipline. No, I think there's more important things to actually to accept discipline. No, to become disciplined. That'd be a better... To accept discipline? No. If I ever have kids, they are not being, they're not going to be walked over. There are no savage civilized peoples, there are only different cultures. You know... I wouldn't disagree. I think the Aztecs are kind of savage. I would say the problem here is they say savage civilized people. I think that there's savage culture. I don't think difference is a strong enough word here. I think this entire question is kind of bait. Because that's how you turn this is how you turn it into a racial statement. If you disagree with the statement. Yeah. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support. Agree. I mean, work can be defined in many ways, but that's, yeah. When you are troubled, it's better to not think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. No. Figure out your problem. Name your problem, figure out a solution. I mean, if you need to decompress, certainly, but it's not better. First generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. Nah. I think it's not often. No, I'm gonna strongly disagree. I don't think it's as common, but never. Nah. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all of us. Always? No, I hate only the Sith deal in absolutes, which is an absolute statement in and of itself, by the way. But I'd go with Grey Jedi anyway. No broadcasting institution, however independent contact, should receive public funding. I'm gonna strongly agree with that. Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counter-terrorism. This was a lot more relevant about 10 years ago. Still kind of true, but not as much as before. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all the arguments that delay progress in a democratic system. I mean, yeah. I don't know if I'd agree with this question's definition of progress, but I mean, by definition, yeah, it moves faster. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be. No. The death penalty should be an option for most serious crimes. I used to believe this, and then someone showed me how it's actually so much more expensive for death penalty. It actually is vastly cheaper for life in prison. Shockingly. So, I'm actually anti-death penalty, not on a moral basis, but on an economic. I don't want to pay more to go through all of the checks and balances that I believe should rightfully be there to ensure that someone getting a death penalty is definitely guilty and deserving of a death penalty, and then the execution of the death penalty itself compared to life in prison, where their guilt can be reevaluated, reassessed, and reconfigured later if need be. I also, on the flip side, I never want to make it possible for the government to become efficient at killing its own citizens. That is the diametric opposite of what I would desire under any circumstance. Or I should say, a thing that the government can legally, efficiently legally kill people. A child rapist and killer, I think, should get the big D. If you look into the cost differential, I think you might change your mind. It is a huge amount of money difference. I mean, a shockingly large amount of money difference. But I mean, hey, if you're willing to pay for it, I don't want to pay for it. Because it's not like the classic, oh, well, just give him a bullet. No, most of the money is in the judicial system to get to that point. Which is why I say that I am appreciative that it is that hard to do that. Because again, the government should not be able to efficiently, legally kill people. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. That is a really weird way of putting that. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. This is a gross way of portraying a real, like, it's factually correct, but the way this is put is rather monstrous to me. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art. That's kind of, doesn't represent anything is kind of what abstract art often is. And no, I have seen abstract art that I do think invokes emotions and thought, which is the point of art. So as an artist, I'm going to strongly disagree. There's plenty of abstract art that is complete garbage, by the way, but there is abstract art that I think has value. In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. No, if it's possible, I would like rehabilitation to be done, because that is like the idea with criminal justice as a theory, or at least how I see it, is that it is happening because the actions of the criminal have taken from society on some level of quantifiable material value, both actualized and potential, and in some way it must get that the criminal must give back. And if that criminal can then be rehabilitated back into society, they can once more be productive and put back into, and once more be a part of the machine. My friend accidentally laying a slip in prison of what they did saves a lot of money, and people do slips. Yeah, but then you can do the same thing with anyone else in there, like political prisoners, for example. You get them on trumped up charges with life prison, then you let slip into the prison stuff they definitely did not do, that have nothing to do with why they're in there. See, with all this stuff, the first thing I think about is, how can this be used against someone that the government just simply doesn't like? Like in places of very high corruption, for example, that type of scenario happens a lot that you're putting forward, you know? So yeah, I'm gonna say if rehabilitation is on the menu, then that should be the focus. It's a waste of time to rehabilitate some criminals. Yeah, there are some, particularly the significantly mentally deranged. The business person and manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. Oof. I have been all four of these. That hurts. I'm gonna disagree. It depends, but I think they all have their place in making a functioning society. There cannot be writer artists for the adverts. Yeah, but when you get into like the chicken and the egg thing, like we're past that as a developed society. Like that I mean, if we were in Assyria right now, or like Sumer, then sure, but writers and artists don't do just adverts, by the way. Some of us are just ways to get you to look at adverts in the first place. Also, yeah, the writer and the artist help create the ideas that then the business person, the manufacturer, later use to create more advanced concepts and techniques to grow the economy due to technological advance. Writers and artists make you think about what could be. Miners may have careers, but the first duty is to be homemakers. Yeah, get out of here. First duty. I mean, okay. Mothers may have first careers, but the first duty. No, that's between the parents to figure out for themselves what's going on. Yeah, I don't see how, like, supporting this statement as it's written doesn't eventually involve some level of, like, if I were to look at this as a policymaker, it would turn into some way of messing with a person's personal decisions in their life, which I'm just not about. Multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant's genetic resources of developing countries. Multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant's genetic resources. What is this question? What is this saying? I didn't get this question. This one here? I don't even know what it's saying. Multinational companies unethically exploiting the plant genetic resource. You mean like crops? To my understanding, most food is made in a few countries that are all considered fairly developed or on the leading edge developed. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna strongly disagree, because by my understanding, most, like, food comes from, like, the US, I forget if it was Denmark or the Netherlands. And, like, Ukraine used to be the breadbasket. But yeah. Yeah, the way it's worded is, like, garbage. Making peace with the established and important aspect of maturity. You know what? I'm gonna partially agree. Because I feel like I've made a pretty decent level of peace with the establishment. I still have my eye on them, but I am not, like, inherently hostile to them like I used to be when I was younger. I think it has its uses, just, it's a whole thing. Propositions on religion and breeds. Astrology accurately explains many things. I'm in a rough spot on this because I was big on astrology for a long time and I don't know where I stand on now. I have my theories as to how it could function. Like, based on physics, but no one wants to really look into it, so I don't really have anything to base that on. It's conjecture, so I don't really know. I don't use it as a base on how to make decisions, however. I also have a lot of anecdotal, like, points in favor of astrology, but they're anecdotal, so it doesn't mean a whole lot anyway. You cannot be moral without being religious. I'm gonna say, if we're splitting between morality and ethics, which I prefer to do, in which case I don't mess with morality at all because I consider it completely subjective. I prefer an ethical system, more or less based on consequentialism, where I can quantify exactly why something is wrong based on the right or wrong or neutral, based on the consequences of it for everyone involved. Yeah, anyway. Which thing do you agree again on? Very close agree, disagree. Was that the establishment part? I think you can be more religious. It's hard, because I don't know what you're... placing the morality on, but anyway. Oh, you cannot be moral. I disagree. Oh, it's saying you cannot be moral? That's just a statement of fact that I think is unfactual. Charity is bearing Social Security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. If Social Security actually functioned as desired and wasn't bankrupting the U.S. Oh, the astrology part. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a rough one for me. I have a very up and down pass with astrology. Charity's better than Social Security means. I'm a mildly disagree. I'd prefer we had just an economy that was running so well that genuinely disadvantaged could still find their place somewhere, but eh. Some people are naturally unlucky. I'm gonna disagree. Not strongly. I don't think it's them unlucky, they just usually situations where they're born in a really poor situation. Oh, anyway. It's important that my child's school instills religious value. No, get out of here. No. Schools should be about factual things. Keep all opinions out of school. All your political opinions, your religious opinions, your cultural opinions, all of it. If it's going to be a publicly funded school, that should be facts only. Now my results. All right. Oh, nope, we got one more. About sex. Nice. Sex outside marriage is usually immoral. I'm gonna reveal some things about myself here. Same-sex couple and a stable living relationship should not be excluded from possible child adoption. I'm not strongly agree. I find out that the stats on that actually are pretty favorable. Pornography depicting insane adults should be legal for the adult population. Also strongly agree. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business state. I strongly agree there. No one can feel naturally homosexual. I think that... yeah, okay. These days open is about sex gone too far. No, I think it needs to go even farther. People need to be talking about this more. We don't talk enough, and it's why we have so many problems with it. This is probably where, in a lot of cases, I fall the most left. Is stuff like this. Where do I stand? Okay. First, you get to read about the political compass. Oh, I got it. Starting point of the original political compass was 2001, where we recognized the inadequacies of standard political measure, left and right, yeah. Certainly fine discussing economics, but to this day is still widely and wrongly used to describe social attitudes. France's National Front, for example, is probably described as far right, its economic policies have sometimes been to the left of even the French Socialist Party. Party's real extremism in it is in its social attitudes. That's why we add the social scale. Right, authoritarian, libertarian, right, left. This is economic and social. Alright. If I had to guess, I am probably like over here. That's my estimation. Or maybe like right here. I could see that. Nevertheless, the more nationalistic and authoritarian a party or individual is, the more, quote, right-wing they are still labeled. This, of course, is absurd. Taken to its logical conclusion, it means that the further left a country sits, the more socially liberal its attitudes are. On that basis, North Korea must be a shining model of human rights and social freedoms, right? Conversely, a country may be very right-wing, i.e. libertarian in its economics, and still be authoritarian at the same time. Singapore is a perfect example. The Index of Economic Freedom has produced by the Wall Street Journal and the Conservative Heritage Foundation hailed Singapore as the economically freest nation on earth in 2021. On the social scale, however, it's a very different story. Human Rights Watch details its reasoning for finding Singapore a deeply authoritarian state. Few contrasting nations. North Korea, China, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, Uruguay, Switzerland. That makes sense. Their gray is currently rated the 44th most free economy and leading Latin American light and social freedoms, from gay and lesbian rights to legalization of cannabis. Switzerland also has a high rank as a libertarian economy, at the same time providing a wide range of social welfare programs in common with more states than a number of other Western countries. The exception is the Hong Kong region. China maintains very strong economic controls, though fewer than those associated with more orthodox ruling Communist Party. In recent years, China shifted close to totally repressive social climate with North Korea, where the economy is also under the absolute control of the state. Saudi Arabia has veered further towards a libertarian economy in recent times, but no real relaxation with sweeping authoritarian powers. Your political compass. Where'd I tell ya? Man, was I on... I was right on target. Economic left-right 2.0, social libertarian slash authoritarian, neg 5.54. I nailed my prediction. So yeah, I think the government has little to no right in your plus 3, plus 3.5, so 2, 3, 3, so here, about there-ish. Okay. Yeah, I don't think outside of things that we determine as illegal, which shouldn't be much in reality, government doesn't have much right to tell you what to do. Down to 1. That's a plus 5. Oh, am I counting these wrong? 1, 2, 3. Oh, I was. So that's 3.5, and then that's 4 over. So here. So yeah, yeah, I'm happy where this put me. Actually, I mean, not only did I predict it, but yeah, I think this is pretty good. I am still wrong. Okay, hold on. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Well, this would be 3.5. You're down 1 over. You know you're supposed to put the X first, right? Am I wrong? Yeah, I thought it was XY. I was plus 2? 1, 2, 3. Or is this 0? Is this considered 0? I would consider this 0. Yeah, I'm plus 2, neg 5.54. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.4. 5.5. So you'd be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.5. You would be there unless you're swapping them, but it's supposed to be X before the Y. So anyway, whatever. Point is, you're like, ish. There. And now I guess when I constantly run into people asking me about what my political compass thing is, which I shockingly do a fair bit, I now know what to tell people. Now, fair enough, it's like 11:33 here. I'm getting fairly tired myself. Person's political compass is showing their own positions available. I don't think I super care about this, but you gotta care. Whatever. Sure, Alright, well, I'm fairly tired. It is getting the late. I am probably gonna call it here. Well, I got like 3.5 hours in it. So it's super short, not super long. That was fairly fun. Did my political compass. Found out as usual, quizzes usually have terribly worded questions. And, yeah. I'll be back tomorrow night. Tomorrow night? Yeah. Friday night? Yeah. And then nope, Saturday night. Yeah, I'm trying to hit. The ideal is 6 nights a week. I may not and probably won't always hit that. It is meant to be an overkill schedule to give me the flexibility to just react to things happening and not sweat it, because I suddenly end up behind schedule. If my schedule is to be ahead of schedule, then I'm good. So, but as of currently, I should be back tomorrow night. I hope everyone has a good night, but I'm gonna call it here. Have a good one.